Let's go, El Russo. How's it going? Let's go, El Russo. Consider turn that down real quick. Let's go, El Russo. There we go. I get feedback. Can you hear? Is the audio okay? What's up, Super Roofer? I don't know. I've been asking myself that for 18 years, 19 years now, buddy. If you figure it out, let me know. Is the audio good? Can you hear? Let me know. I haven't gone live here at the house on the desktop in quite a while. Okay, I appreciate it. Appreciate the feedback there. What's the question? Oh, a couple people have questions. Shoot away, let me know. I'll answer what I can, and you know me, if I don't know, I'll let you know I don't know. And if it's kind of hard to hear, I apologize. I'm trying to be quiet. The wife and little girl are in bed. How long have I been roofing? Like 19 years full time. I started in like 2000 for a guy and he couldn't keep me busy. In like 2003, I went full time for a company and spent quite a while there. Moved on to another company, was the foreman, kind of helping run 3 crews, and it just went downhill from there. Boss didn't care, so I moved on and started this company in 2017, I think it was. What comes first, the drip edge or the prep? What do you mean, Jonathan? I mean, you got to prep the roof before you put the drip down. What is the going rate for a square 412 tear off? Buddy, you don't want to know my market price, but I'll tell you. It is a piss poor 300 a square. Some guys are still sub 300 in my area. 320, 330, you're not going to sell work. It's pitiful. So to go back to your question there, prep as far as the underlayment, my personal opinion, when you get it prepped and ready, you'll put your apron down and then your ice and water on top so it sticks down and seals. If you go under it, you really need to take your drip, your ice and water down into the fascia, but let's face it, nobody does that. You're in a wildlife control business. Use roofing knowledge. Okay, I appreciate that. I'm glad I could help you. You've probably seen a few of the videos I've done with raccoons in the attic then. I've had like 3 this month already, 3 houses where raccoons and critters are living inside. 325. Oof. I mean, it's pitiful. If I go 45 minutes south and I'm in like a Hamilton County area, I've been selling them for 425, 450 just for the equivalent home. I've actually had people in that area tell me when I use my market price down there, I don't know what I'm doing because I was like thousands less. So I know some of my videos are don't ever go with the cheapest, but markets can dictate that a lot. You know, if you go down there, you're 450 a square, you're going to be the cheap guy. What's a better ridge vent or mixed vents or maxi vents? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maxi vents. Is that some sort of box vents? Me personally, I like ridge vent. I've done a lot of OC. Um, a lot of people in my area just went cheap, and Oak Ridge is not a cheap shingle, in my opinion. It's a pretty good economy or economic shingle, decent quality. There's others I'd stay away from. A metal vent. Yeah, so with metal vents, I prefer, it's kind of a trade-off. I mean, you get hail in your area, aluminum's going to dent a whole lot softer, but I prefer aluminum because it's not going to rust over time. One thing to be aware of if you do use box vents or the baffles venting up like this or down, because of the vents that dome plastic airlock vents that slant down, they'll scorch the roof around it, and that leaves after years kind of discoloration with the blue-green algae. So you'll see those over a few years. It just kind of looks weird. So if you get the aluminum, I think it's a slant back, the baffles, the slits in the aluminum are vented up. So as the heat comes out, it goes up and doesn't scorch your roof. Yeah, I think even some manufacturers say put the ice and water down and into the over the fascia board and then put your apron on, but to me that just makes no sense. Appreciate it, Incognito. Haven't heard you from you in a while. Appreciate you still watching. You're a longtime follower. Hope you're doing well. You and Scott W. Super Roopers up there with you guys in the mix. Why do some people prefer hammers over compressor nail guns? Well, a lot of old school guys will tell you the hammer's the only way to go. A hammer can be pretty good, but I can also say you got a guy with a hammer that doesn't give a shit. He's going to smash his nail right through. It all comes down into the roofer, in my opinion, the quality of the roofer, the installer. Do they care about their work? You can have somebody underdrive with a hammer and overdrive with a hammer. You can have the same with a nailer. A lot of the guys that complain or comment recently on the nails, their piss poor roofer with a pneumatic gun, as long as you watch the depth of your gun and given the conditions of the temperature and the climate you're in, there's a gauge on the gun. So it has to compress to allow the air through the valve. And then the second is the trigger. That gauge is adjustable. So where the cone of the nailer is, the gauge can stop slightly below or it can actually come up too. So that's one thing. Uh, Typically, when the shingles are colder, it's going to take a little bit more, but there's a fine line, it's brittle, snap through. It's actually a pretty good subject because on a video I've done, the algorithm is really pushing here recently. There are a lot of underdriven nails, crooked and stuff. All they had to do was bring up their gauge slightly to drive them down a little bit more. And the lack of paying attention to that, they just didn't care. Don't want to go too deep into that, but that's probably a good subject for a video. Do I ever use GAF products? Yes, I've used a lot of GAF over the years. One of my past employers used a lot of it. I've actually toured their factory up in northern Indiana, Michigan City. And it was good. It was way better than what he used to use was Tamco. Stay away from Tamco. But here lately, I'm disliking GF a little bit more. The weights don't seem as consistent. I'm not a fan of their supposed mechanically fastened shingle. We're gonna do some testing when I have time on that. Um, and I think they're a bully when it comes to their warranty and wanting you to sign their contract. Look at Dimitri, he signed it and then speaks to their product, whether it's good or bad, and they want to slam him, for defamation and sue him. So that's one thing I've pledged myself to never do is sign any shingle manufacturer to use them exclusively. Because if you read through that big old page of contract, little words, they basically own you. I mean, I personally have JF roof on my house. My former boss had the best plan for me, and it was like 2 years later, there's massive streaking showing. It's not a necessarily a defect that's going to cause a leak or anything, but I called the sales rep and he's like, "Oh, you got 50 years, just push it down the road." I was like, "Why are they all saying this? If you stay behind your work, just replace it for me." So we'll see. I've just been too busy to really pursue that. Um, Nails popping out. I see that more when you have wood expanding and buckling like one bys typically, where say two 1x6s are together and one's buckling and the shingle wants to lift. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I have seen nails pop up. It's very interesting. You say that I don't know why they don't make coil nails that are ring shank that would actually stay down where it's put. The biggest issue I see with nails when it comes to roofing is they're in the wrong spot and then they will rust out. That's the biggest issue I see. If it's popped up, typically It's either 3/8 CDX board that is really old and it's delaminating, and that causes the nail to work loose. But by far the biggest is the nail placement and the installer making sure it's driven down. Yeah, let me look up here real quick. I think I missed a few. How would you find jobs if you're just starting? Definitely do all you can. Um, Social media has changed. I'm not a big fan. Actually, I was answering a comment for a guy on Facebook just a minute ago, but I stay away from Facebook. It's changed, in my opinion. If my local people are watching, I'm sorry, but they go to Facebook for who's the best? Who's the best price? They don't want to do their own digging, their own due diligence, and I typically find people on Facebook are the worst customers to work with, so I don't even pursue that type of stuff. I just Google Google my business reviews has been the biggest. Do good quality work, word of mouth will get out. It takes a while. Sandbag 1300, what do you mean do it yourselves? How many years do I give? Sorry, as I'm trying to read it, it's popping up. How many years of a warranty do I give, Carlos? Um, I think I don't even know. I think on my estimate, it's all cookie cutter, so I just populate square and all that's down there. But I think it's like 5 years. I don't have a problem going out. If somebody asks 10 year, 15 year, I have a problem with staying behind my work. Actually, when I had a company way back, D&A contracting. Every now and then you might see me with a D&A contracting shirt on, and I went back like 15 years later because of an issue. It wasn't even anything I did and took care of it. So word of mouth will get out about you, and if you don't stand behind your work, try tearing off ring shank. Yeah, that would be a pain. I mean, honestly, when we get into a one by tear off, the guys are just like, because one by tear offs suck. But again, it's not so much needing the ring shank. If the installer puts them in the right place in the right time, and pays attention, they're down and they're not putting it in shit wood. That's going to be some of the biggest things. Hey, thank you, Jonathan, for answering that for him there. I'm gonna scroll up in the comments real quick. I think I may have missed something. I just happened to see Tangy up there about the OC. I forgot to mention, I don't know if you've watched some of these in the past, maybe a month or so ago, we had a warranty claim on OC duration, uh, coloration issue, and some people commented on the video. They're going to say it's within specs or different lot number, this or that. Actually, one of the things I started doing too on that note, when we do a job on there, I inspect every job, I set up every job. I'll take a picture of the bundles and verify all the lots are all the same. And I also have that on file in my CRM. It's all uploaded. If you're new, anyone in here, somebody's asking, I would definitely recommend getting a good CRM software, a customer resource management software. I personally use Job Nimbus. It's really good. I referenced a job I wrote an estimate for back in 2019. It was funny because I have a property management company that hit me up. Want me to go to look at a roof leak at this property? I was like, man, that sounds really familiar. I go to my Job Nimbus software, type in the address, pops up, see the date, everything. I had noted that it had some leaks and the roof was shot in 2019, ridge vent blowing off, shingles blowing out, missing stuff. Hell, I may even have did a video on it. Nothing ever came of it. I thought they paid somebody cheaper to do the job. And here we are, what, 3 years later, and they're saying it's got a leak and I need to go take care of it. Like, yeah, you need a new roof. And guess what? You're going to pay thousands more now. Allstate sucks, yes, it does. How much does a bundle of shingles cost here? It depends on the brand, but I really can't find anything under $100 a square right now. I think, let me look up an invoice here real quick. I got something in my email, I'm sure, here recently. For the most part, I got pretty caught up. I'm trying to slow down. Well, actually, here, you know what? I can just go to bring up the Menards app. That's been a pretty good place to buy, actually, believe it or not, here recently. Should rippers always replace gutters when doing the roof? Well, I would ask a question, are the gutters damaged? Are they steel and rusting? Are they broken and smashed? I mean, if a customer's wanting to upgrade, just put some money into the house, then go for it. But if they're not bad, I wouldn't. Green service, you talking about the color, the dye lot? Let's just see what duration is. Duration shingles at Menards here in Kokomo. $38 a square. Sale price $35.94. After rebate $31.99. It's 32.60, 66. No, that's not right. 96. I don't know if you can get this in view here. If it'll show it. My screen's really delayed. Is it gonna focus? Maybe? I don't know. There's a massive delay in my OBS software here. So here lately I've been doing a lot of duration. Steven Simpson, uh, appreciate that. $10 donation. I've never seen that before on my channel, but thank you. I actually am a member of a crypto channel and support them and tip them every now and so thank you. I appreciate that. Steven Simpson. Is there a comment here to read? No? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I actually gave a estimate for Malarkey Legacy. The guy specifically wanted that. That stuff's like $150 a square, which is nice. I mean, I personally think it's pretty good shingle and SBS polymer modified class 4 UL 2218. Jonathan, what kind of bundles you getting for $35 a bundle? 35 Canadian. I'm not even sure what the rate is, the conversion between. Certainty Landmark's pretty good. I've done a few of those. Tamco's one I think I said earlier, if you're new to the channel, Tamco is a shingle I would really strongly recommend staying away, run away. What's up, Dan? Appreciate it. That's your last name, Dan Eskra? That's kind of cool. Yeah, appreciate that. Same bed, you'd hire me in a heartbeat, but after I've been my own boss for over 5 years, I don't know that I'll ever go back to being an employee. I'm sitting in a pretty good spot right now, trying to just share what I know. Um, I tell you, it was scary if anyone here knew making that decision of having, I wouldn't even call it a great income. I mean, it was an okay income, but I worked my ass off for somebody that really didn't appreciate you. And leaving with nothing. Business was good, kind of booming. I stockpiled it away. I put it into investments, real estate. And honestly, I could quit working right now for a few years, my wife and I both, and live fine for a little while. But it's not over. We're still working, still investing. Tamco's baby woo. I hopefully Tony, you're not installing Tamco. Thank you, Sandbag. I appreciate that. How much does insurance company pay for decking? Good question. I was asking myself that recently too. I don't know. Insurance companies are a pain, but I've heard that they don't pay for it. I've had some people pay for it. I'm not a big insurance restoration guy. I've done some insurance work and I've had contractors be like, "Hey, this doesn't pay enough. Do you want to take it on?" I'm like, "How much per square? Like, what are you thinking? You're fucking crazy." Then I've also had other insurance companies say we're not covering stuff like obvious damage. Um, but I don't know. I can't really answer that. One insurance company back in the hailstorm of 2017 was complaining because we had 15 sheets on the job, and I had pictures showing it was rotten and bad, and they didn't want to pay for it. Yeah, thank you, Turbo. Appreciate that. I don't claim to be the best roofer out there. There's always somebody going to be better than you. I try to think about if it were my roof, I'd want it done good. What's up, Eric Rhodes? No, a little late for you. Shouldn't you be in bed getting your rest, getting ready to go door knocking tomorrow? Ask Eric. He might. Eric, what's a price that insurance companies pay there in Hamilton County for a sheeted decking? $2 a square foot. It's not bad. Do I hate or love the best damn roofer? I'd like to meet him in person. True story, when I first saw his videos pop up on my YouTube feed, I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? No way. And it was just a few videos in, I was like, wait a minute. I think he's just like, he's making spoofs. This can't be real. This is a joke. And then you see other videos and he's like really businessy and professional and doing speeches and things. So I like him. He's pretty funny. Actually, one of my old videos, probably been a year or two ago, actually doing a repair, and it never made any good footage, but I actually had a banquet. I'd pitch it up in the air and I'd go, oh, and, try to catch it. I didn't get any good footage though. Couldn't make anything out of it. I'm trying to do more content. I think here recently I've been doing pretty good a video a day or at least a short clip up every day. And I want to do more. Just I'll be honest with you, it's really hard to try to focus on getting the content. My days are still very busy doing estimates. They're not going anywhere. Retail has really slowed up due to the current condition of the economy. People worry about this looming recession. Well, by the time they announce the recession, we're already in the recession, but people are holding on their money, not spending, or they're going with the cheapest guy. So my estimates are going nowhere. I'm spending about $1,000 a month in diesel just for my truck to run estimates. But where I was going with that is I do day trading, crypto trading, like constantly, and I make more doing that. So I kind of don't want to roof as much. Yeah, there's a couple of Jonathan, a couple of videos going around recently that I've seen. I think it was with State Farm, and there's this roofer trying to say it's not repairable, and the guy's, yes, it is. He's like, well, then show me, and he's like, but I'm not the professional. So yeah, I had a lady call today down in Noblesville. Hey, Eric, you want to get some lunch tomorrow? I'll be in Noblesville tomorrow. Um, It was a really low price she quoted. Has roof damage, said her insurance company's replacing everything, got ceiling damage in the garage, gonna replace the drywall. And she tells me her price. I'm like, there's just no way. Her insurance company said they needed to find one guy to do everything and they weren't paying for it. I'm like, I feel like they're feeding her a lot of BS. Hello, Gary. Gary Tillman. Your name sounds really familiar. Are you in my hometown? What are my thoughts on that? Well, I can't really answer the Ukrainian question there because I don't live in Ukraine. But I can try to answer it based on here in the U.S. If women want to have equal rights and want to do things, they should be in the same situation. But me personally, you know, I'll never hit a woman. I always open the door for a woman. I'll give up my seat for a woman or child. So I would never expect a woman to be forced to go to war, but that's just my opinion. And we haven't had a severe storm here all year, Super Roofer. There's been some years we've had pretty bad storms and hail throughout. We've had 2017 outbreak of tornadoes. We had like 15 tornadoes in one night. But just this year's been nothing. We've not had one severe storm. I don't think we even have a power outage. 12:30 to 1300, 12:30 to 1. Uh, I think my appointment in Noblesville is going to be 12:30 to 1-ish, right around there. So if you're in the Noblesville area, why do I see so many risks with exposed nails? I see more nails in keyways where the shingles come together. I don't see them necessarily exposed like down. And honestly, if I'm doing an inspection, I see nails with just a little bit of a shiner that's typically actually, I mean, that's not good, but it's an indication of it's a better roofer because they're trying to put them in the common bond. Yeah, I'm doing well. Appreciate it. Getting sick of the claims. Sorry, let me look up where you said you were from, Gary. No, I've not done any concrete tile roofing. I've done slate repair before and asbestos. Actually, I probably shouldn't be saying that. All right, Carlos. Gary Tillman, are you the one I did a roof for here in Kokomo? I think you or somebody in your family bought one of my, I called it the dad wagon if you're the same Tillman. Sorry guys, I'm trying to answer and still scroll through these comments and here to adjust your appointments tomorrow, Eric. I'll tell you what, I can hang around the Noblesville area. I'll be on a live stream in the morning, not for me, but another one, uh, Coffee and Crypto. And then I've got my appointment in Noblesville, but I'll probably just be pulled over somewhere, grab some lunch, and work on some estimates remotely. Send me a message on Facebook. I'll get you my number. And bear with me, guys. Here, man. I gotta scroll back up here real quick. Sorry, I just went back to somebody said don't say asbestos. Yeah, I've worked on some. Not legally supposed to, but let's just say I was the homeowner. And yes, I was very cautious on everything and one around me. Is it acceptable for exposed nails on the last ridge cap? See all the time I wish roof ridge. So I've had somebody in a comment in the past blast me saying I didn't know what I was doing because I put a couple of exposed nails on the last piece of ridge cap and they get spotted. Well, a couple things. If you've ever gone and you've seen a nail exposed for a while that's not trapped with water constantly dripping on it for many years, it'd take quite a few years for it to rust out and cause a problem. But if they're exposed to the point where they dry pretty quick, it's not near as bad. And then the biggest factor with that is if it's on the very high up shingle, you have only what water hits that. So you don't have a lot of runoff gathering on, say, a 15-foot section, a facet from eave up. All the rain above is running down, it gathers it's a lot more. So yes, there's ways of, gluing the last one on with a sealer, or if it's say TimberTex and it's a double stacked piece of cap, you can peel the corners up and shoot under it. I'm not going to be that picky. There's many other things that are way worse that I see. I know some of your roofers and contractors, salesmen, it looked like there's a new guy in here. If you guys have questions, let me know. And if you like this kind of stuff, this live Q&A, let me know. Actually, I sat down in front of my computer to watch the market here. Be right back on this screen. Give me a second. My trading view. Here, I'll show you what I'm watching here real quick. Let me pull this one down. And bring up my YouTube real quick, wherever it went. Back up with the comments. Give me just a minute. I'll read back through this here in a second. That's this is what I do from my computer and from my phone. Wow. Getting a call from a customer at 10:42. Yeah, we're gonna office is closed. It's after hours. Yeah, so I do a lot of day trading with crypto because traditional markets are not open, so I make a ton of money doing this. I've done a lot of studying over the years to learn. All right, let me scroll back there. It looks like some more questions came in. And if I've missed some, I apologize, guys. Another question about what do I charge? So I plan on doing a video on this, and I know it's only going to be relevant for a month or two, but at least the concept of like, you can't just pick a number and throw it out there. You got to know what your costs are, what you're willing to get out of bed for, um, to just kind of start where you're going to charge. And then your market dictates a lot of that. If it's retail or if it's insurance. Insurance pays pretty good. If you ask me, it pays really good. You ask other people, you got to fight them to get what it's worth. But if you're like Eric, I know you follow the channel. Some other guys in here I said earlier, I don't know if you're in here, Eric, but my local market, 300-ish for a standard ranch house, one layer. It's bad. You figure $100 a square just for the shingles, then you got all the other stuff. So you gotta I scratch my head and I think about this. What are these guys doing? What are they not doing? What are they telling the customer? Where are they cutting the corners to make money? By the time you pay your trash, your labor, your diesel, just everything, you know, I'm not going to be working my ass off, spinning my wheels, going negative in the hole. Um, so yeah, to answer your question, my area, people are charging 280 to 320. Saw my video on a counter flashing shimmer. Uh, Let me reread that here real quick. Metal on the front of the chimney seems like it would be better if are you talking about the low side of the chimney? So here's the chimneys you're looking at. It's the high side, water's running down, and the little piece in front of the chimney here. So I always run my shingle up to where at least the headlap or a low section of shingle is. Time out, guys. Hang on just a second here. Right here, this right here. Let's pull a quick measurement tool. Yeah, I have a chance to make a couple $100 here in a matter of a few minutes. I'll kind of try to do this. I mean, you guys are more important than I can trade this later, but I've had some pretty good trades. Let me go back up here. Do I know Kyle Button? No, not sure who you're talking about. Is that a YouTuber? Bad Batch at Tamco in 2008 in your house. You know, asphalt, I don't know. I like steel. I like the look of hidden fastener, standing seam. I don't like the look of exposed fastener. I personally like shingle look better. And, you know, if it's installed good, it'll last. You get a good 20, 30 years, start looking pretty bad. Unless you had a bad batch or if it's installed bad, you're not going to get 50 years like some people say. Metal, so here's another misconception with metal. Everybody thinks just slap some metal roof, a tin roof up on your roof, you're good for 50 years or something. That can be true if it's installed good. I've been on some metal roofs. Actually, I probably will release this tomorrow. Uh, Another metal roof I did a few months ago. Looked at it. I didn't do it. I looked at it. I'm like, I want no part of this repair. But if you're denting panels, you're scratching panels, dragging panels across, and just being extremely lazy with it, that roof is going to fail really quick. Eric, 450 to 500 insurance. I did one in Lebanon last year, and it was pretty good numbers. Westfield area, another insurance. I mean, insurance, in my opinion, works good. I had a couple that were maybe going to hit my plate. And they were a bit of a drive. They were up in Lowell, Portage, Valpo, like way up in northwest Indiana. Is a couple hour drive for me. Contractors had them under contract, and I think they were like, oh, I don't remember, $600 a square, and they were complaining, saying it wasn't enough, and they wanted out of it. Ended up kind of falling through the cracks. I honestly recommended the homeowner just find somebody reputable in their own area. Rants, you say Malarkey is paper thin and roofers won't install it in your area? There's a few things with the Malarkey that I do like the tapered shim, the inch and a quarter common bond where you're going to get nails in it, the polymer modified. But I mean, climates can be a big difference in the type of shingle performance. Standing seam is nice, but God, it's just a little more time consuming to put in. At least it was years ago when I last did it. You know, bending all your Z panel or your Z bar to lock everything on. It looks good, you know, hemming your bottoms under, notching every piece. Maybe be nice if there's like a die when you shove your standing seam piece down and you just punch it and it clips and folds under your pin. Just a lot of extra work. Anyone here watch Kyle? Oh, what's his name? He's the barn builder guy. Can't think of his name right now. Red haired kind of guy, the badass channel. I watched his channel a couple years ago. I built myself I call it a shed, but it's like 24 by 24 little pole barn. I mean, I've never done framing or anything. I watched his use some common sense and wrote it out on paper, got kind of a plan, and went to town, had at it. I love it. I got everything, all my toys out there. Stone coated metal roofing, that'd be pretty badass. I've only seen two of them in person in my area. I think one here in Kokomo and one north of Kokomo, up near Mexico, Indiana, Macy. What temperatures are they soft and flimsy? I mean, up in Texas, the typical common temperature I would feel is pretty comparable here in Indiana. Best indicator for trading, I have a couple that I like. Look, see here it was. I was watching it. I was waiting for it to come down. I use a handful of trading indicators. The more you use, the harder it is to get a good indicator. It's for all of them to be confluent for you to get into a trade. But when it does, it typically really goes in your favor. But the ones that I typically use, the RSI's got to be up here, the MACD's up here. I have extra features on here like Lux Algo is a paid script that I use. The ribbon band here, your moving averages. Here's a Lux oscillator. It's a paid for. Typically, just your candles. You get 5 bits of info, the MACD and RSI. You use those together and it works rather well. 1099. Caleb. Well, me in my region, I try to slow down depending upon the weather when it moves in. November, December, I like to stop and shut down. January, February, March, think about reopening back up. I'll still work, I still take calls, I try to set stuff up for the fall, but I really don't do installs. It's not good. It's not good to put them in the cold. If there is an absolute emergency, yeah, we'll do it. But we also try to keep in mind the temperature of the forecast. If they're calling for storms in a few days, we're not going to do it. If they're calling for a few days of warmer weather, we'll do it. I really like the temperature to be 50, 60 degrees so they seal down. If you're out in the country, I'd really recommend against it. They're going to not seal down right away. Also, be cautious in the fall if you're in an area where we are with nothing but cornfields and bean fields. You're installing it and the dust of the combine's kicking up. It's going to blow up under the shingles, stick on the tar before it seals down. Not good. Can it be done? Yes. Just be cautious. Yeah, some guys are like, oh, you can roof right through the window. That stuff will catch up to you. I'd rather put a good product down, the reputation stick, and uh, one of my bosses in the past did something in the middle of the winter. It never stuck down. He fought it for many years, and it was just a patched, cobbled mess after 2 years of repairing it. I don't pay a penny on advertising. How do I generate leads? Again, I mean, the only advertising I guess you say I do pay for is the t-shirts, business cards, got some logos on the truck, web page, and just start getting a footprint out there digitally. If you have any customers and you're doing a good job, ask ask your customers to leave you a review. Don't hound them, just ask them. Way too many companies that they do good work. Well, I shouldn't say way too many. There are good companies that do good work, but they don't simply ask for a review. That's a big part of it. Just ask, and they'll start coming in. But then the more you have, the better rank in your area for Google Your Business. It will start promoting you higher on search results and use good keywords. One of the best keywords is roofer near me. That's a good little tip I'll give out. Roofer near me. Everybody goes on their phone, roofer near me. I will also say stay away from what is it now? It was Angie's listing, Home Advisor, big, big scam. Huh. That's good. Got a lot of work. I'm actually wanting time off. Yeah, I mean, if people are advertising, it's kind of like that short video I did the other day, a week or two ago, how a roofer makes 600 bucks a day. And the very end of that, I'm like, now advertise for your next victim. I don't have a problem with people want to advertise. I mean, advertising can get you out there. You might want to maybe advertise a little bit to get going, but I didn't have like I left my job with no guarantees, but I had a little bit of other stuff going on. If I could do anything for extra money to get by, I did until the business started picking up. I also had a real estate company. Uh, if you're asking, no, does okay, Indiana require a roofing license. So Indiana requires any business in Indiana, you're supposed to register with the state. to be in business, to get a business entity set up. As far as a license, it's not necessarily state regulated here in Indiana. It's more at the local county and city level. So like here in my hometown of Kokomo, smack dab central Indiana, 1 hour north Indianapolis. If you're familiar with the 500, Indianapolis 500, we're 1 hour north of there. There's no license, no inspection required for roofing. Anyone can do it. It's a joke. Um, then you go one county north, it's dual registration and license and inspections in Miami County. They want you to register with the city, register with the county. You got to pay fees. You got to have inspections. It's kind of crappy. And in my opinion, all that incurs or encourages is the fly-by-nighters to work on the weekend. Like I got a call from Elwood the other day, and I called Elwood to like, hey, what do you guys require? I'm like, oh, our city's booming. It's whatever for the license. We have inspections and all this. I was like, so wait, back up. Explain that again. You can get a roof over permit, no inspection needed, nothing at all. But yet, if you want to have it done right, you got to have an inspection done. Like that encourages people to roof over. It makes no sense. At least send somebody out from the county or the city to make sure it's only one layer. I just can't stand it. Some of the cities that require a lot of shit, I don't even like working in there. Got a little moth flying around in here. So there's another big misconception too that people like to comment on some of the better running videos right now I have. And I don't care, but there's just this misconception of bonded and insured. Yeah, insured, you want to make sure of that, but bonded is just not like one bond fits all. A surety bond is typically when you're working with a city or a government agency or a particular company that requires it, and you have to go out and get that bond specifically for them. So people that say I'm bonded. Yeah, they're not. I mean, they may be bonded. I mean, I'm bonded. Hell, I got like 5 bonds. It's just for every place that requires it. It's not one size fits all. Let me scroll up here real quick. I think I may have missed something. America sounds mental. Oh, that's crazy things going on here. Muncie, that's where I get a lot of my material, or did get a lot of my material. Haven't bought at ABC, but ABC Supply Co. in Muncie. Maybe I need to drive to Muncie. Actually, I don't like driving very far. The farthest I've personally traveled to do a roof was 2 hours. That's because it was somebody my brother knew for my company anyway. I really don't like going more than an hour because it's an hour there, an hour back when the job's done. I like to get home every night. Pippi, Trixie, come on. Might have to run to take the dogs out real quick. Give me a minute here, possibly. Hi, Greg, Brady, what's going on? Yeah, I'm not a fan of the whole inspection process. Let's just make it easier for the homeowner to not do anything. Let's rely on one guy. If that one guy is uneducated, then he's just missing a whole lot. I'm gonna get some serious hate from people, but true story. Sell a job down in Lawrence, Indiana a couple years ago. Talking to my guys, he's like, "Yeah, you got to be registered, dual registered, and all this. Even a traffic cop can act as a law code enforcement." So I make some phone calls. This is where I learned one of my biggest mistakes before it was a big mistake. Have to register in Marion County, go through orientation in Marion County, certificate of insurance, listing them as additional insured, and a bond for Marion County. Then you have to go in the Lawrence town area and you have to register with them. You have to do the same process without excluding the orientation. get a permit in their area, and you have to have an inspection, a deck inspection. So you try to plan this 24-hour in advance, you tear the roof off, you get it all ready, and you have to have an inspector come out and sign off on it after he does an inspection. This 300-pound guy comes walking up, goes up to the front door, looks at the paper, initials it, and he's walking off. I was like, don't you need to do an inspection? Just did. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. It's all about the money. You're born in Buffalo, okay. But Hartford, Indiana. It's just east of me. Yeah, Marion, about 45 minutes straight east. Sorry for the loss of your grandpa. Stupid little gnat, mouthy thing. Yeah, when we get requests and I see a house and it's just like gnarly, and we call them Casa de la Brujas. It's the house of the witch, or the witch house. I don't even like doing them. You guys just want to quit. They rush things. The time it takes you to do one to make anything, you could have done two or three easier jobs and made just as much, if not more money. And you don't have that overhead. And then those people have those Casa de la Brujas, they're yeah, just I get it started. Black roll rubber. And back to there just a second. What's the pitch where that rubber is, Jeremy? How much slope does it have? So one of my strategies right here is when I see it drop off dramatically like this, I know there's a saying called don't ever catch a falling knife, let it bounce first, but I've made some pretty good trades when it just is just falling off a cliff. And I'm like, I'm gonna just take a little bit of a gamble here and I'll snatch up a Bitcoin or two and then it bounces up usually within a few minutes and make a rebound kind of up into like this range here. Just sell it. Small profit consistently. Rick, your struggle is pricing repairs. I've had a problem doing that too. In my first few years, I would look at a repair and be like, what would I pay for that? Because I know what I'm doing and it wouldn't be much. So I'd undervalue my repairs. And that can be bad, but it can also be good. And I know it sounds kind of messed up. Let me try to explain a little. If you go out and you just try to high price repair work to make a good profit, but you don't have a lot of work and a reputation to fall back on, you're not going to get a lot of work. If you're trying to build the brand, maybe bring the cost down a little bit to get people's trust to get the work. And then those little people, every little person you've done repair for, their circle of influence, their church groups, their family and friends, they're going to start telling their people. And it takes a while. It's like a snowball. And it will slowly start building and your name gets out there. Then when you can really do good work, good quality, stand behind it, then start raising your price. One guy always told me, I was like, hey, how do I price this? He's like, what are you willing to get out of bed for? Right now, like, actually, I need to call the guy. I forgot, it just made me think of it. I have an online form submission where people find us. I don't even need to take a phone call. It's the best thing ever because I do a lot in the company, taking phone calls and all. So I set this up where people could just send a request online and it pings my email. But he's like in Logan Sport. I'm not a fan of Logan Sport. It's like 35, 40 minutes northwest of here on 35 and it's a shed. He's like, it's a 30-minute job, replace a shed roof. I'm like, it's not 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes just to get there. Then you got the material, you got the trash, you got the time and labor, and by the time you figure it up, I probably won't even get the job. If you know Logansport, but I need to get back with him tomorrow. So here comes this little bounce here. It may not be much. There's a pretty sizable little drop here. It might come up, what we sitting at 22.78, 27.9. Not a lot, but a small little bounce. I'm not ready for it yet. RSI's come down. You're below the 20. You got a little white coming up on the histogram. I think it's still going to push down. When in doubt, zoom out. We've had a pretty big rise over the past week or so. Since the 4th of July, it's been kind of coming up, a little drop. The CPI numbers came out, dropped off real bad for 5 minutes, and then been on a tear since. So I think it's going to come cooling off the next few days. Plus, on the 26th and 27th, the Fed numbers, so they're going to announce that it's going to be a 75 BP height rate. So be aware if you guys are traders that date. They could say 100 BP, which will crash the markets. Half bundle 3-tab repair for $100. Yeah, see, how do you value that? I mean, a Google review for repair, even though you only made $100, you take out $32 for your bundle. I don't know how far you had to drive, how much time it took, but that Google review, just keep focusing on doing good quality work, get those Google reviews up, and it will just lead to good customers coming your way. What is a good pitch? I like the sweet spot of about a 612. It's steep enough for water runoff good. It's steep enough when you're working on as an installer. You're not breaking your back, but it's not too steep you can't walk. Obviously, the steeper, the more nice look they have, but I'm not a fan of steep stuff. 612 is what I like to work on. Trash slides down easy. You can still walk them as long as it's not too granularly. I believe technically a low slope is around the 612 to 412 range. 412 to 312 need ice and water if you're going to do shingles. And below 312, manufacturers won't honor it. You need to do a low slope. Roll roofing, epdm, TPO, torch, something like that. 812s are walkable as long as it's not granularly loose shingles. I walk at 1212, no problem. Not really the smartest idea. Um, you guys see me, if you follow the channel a lot, I will say if you guys see me wear these a lot, there's a couple of reasons. You see me kind of, I have an inner ear issue. It's called Meniere's, so I feel really off step right now, and it's not a good thing to have as a roofer. I want to maybe share. I haven't really come out openly, but I want to do a video on it because I've struggled with it for like 15 years, especially being a pilot. It's been a dream of mine. I became a pilot a long time ago, and now I can't fly anymore because of it. Kind of roofing material would I recommend? It's a little hard for me to answer because you're in a totally different climate out in California. If you're going to go with an asphalt shingle, there's a few I'd say are decent and good. Some based on performance, some based on the quality of the shingle, or how well the shingle holds up, and some as far as the installing aspect of it. Some guys in here commented they don't like Malarkey. I like duration. Um, Tamco, I'm not a fan of. Certainteed, I like. Landmark Pro. Guy was down the street. I could have walked. What are you talking about, Wilson Roofing? Uh, The most layers I've seen, 14. 14 layers up in Logansport. And hey, they require inspections. Yes, ventilation is a big part of it. Every job I go to, I document all that shit. Take photos, upload it to my software. One of the photos I do is underneath the soffit, verifying there's a soffit inlet or at least a gable inlet. Yeah, so is the insulation too. I've seen a lot of homes where people think they have roof leaks and they don't have a roof leaks because they don't have adequate insulation or it's pulled away or it's settled so much. You have the temperature differences. Like today we had a 103 heat indice, like 96 degrees. I didn't do much today. I worked from home all day today. I had one inspection this morning and then it was a slow day, slow couple months really. But the cold AC inside radiating through the insulation to a hot attic, and it just condensates right there. And they get these little spots of like mold and mildew, and they think it's a roof leak. It's not. If Rance, if you're talking about, oh no, Wilson 6 layers. Yeah, the one I did was 14, was residential. How do I feel about Atlas Stormmaster Shake? Never used it. Uh, Actually, I just saw something somewhere. Somebody said donate or something. Yeah. Um, I had a guy asking about gutter guards, and I was wanting to actually do a gutter guard giveaway. At first, I thought about doing it in my area to somebody if I have a local person want to, if I get enough interest, and then actually do the install and film it. But I was thinking, hey, I might actually still do that on the channel to anyone in the U.S. The place I buy the gutter guards from, I can have them directly mail them, ship them. If anyone's interested in that, let me know. Of course, I wouldn't do the install. What are my thoughts on IKO now? I boycott them now. I've done a few of them back in the day because it was a shingle I could use to be in the market price in my region, but then they started raising their price. They quit cold turkey the rebate program they had, and they're trying to be a bigger fish in the pond, and they're not there. So yeah, I quit using IKO. Actually, before I started using them, I didn't like it. One of the sales rep in my area, he's like, just try it. And I tried it and it was okay and got going with it. But yeah, I no longer do IKO. I'm no pro, but at least in my experience right now on the ventilation, the best way is have a soffit vent come in and it rises up and goes out the ridge vent in a nice uniform even. Something you got to be aware of. I see this as a common mistake I've seen in my area is if you go to an area that's cathedral, yeah, France, I go, no. Cathedral ceiling, you've got Raptors insulation, and people will put box vents in. I'm like, that's not going to do anything. You're going to vent that one chase at best. So it's always good. And if you do have cathedral, make sure you got baffles pushing it down so you have a channel for air to flow through. Going to make the roof flat so the leaves blow off, Greg. That would actually probably encourage them to just sit. If you're wanting to do some sort of flat roof, I'd still encourage like a half 12, 112 pitch. Hey, guys, I'll be right back. I gotta let my dogs out there at the back door whining. Give me just a minute. Be right back. Let's go, come on. Let's go. They're about to pee on the floor. Oh, doing good, trying to stay cool. Intake vents on ease, are you referring to that strip that's actually installed up on the roof? Where you have to, install a few rows of shingles and then cut the ridge deck in and put the little plastic vent in. I've never personally done one of those. I've seen them. I think the thought behind it is a good idea, but I think they look stupid. But if you have no other way for an inlet, then I guess good functioning over cosmetic would be my model. Chuck, how do you stop a leak near the edge of the roof where it meets step flashing? Roof only 10 years old, 3D shingle, vinyl siding. Chuck, is the leak at the wall coming down your roof, at the wall near the flashing? And at the bottom? If so, you need a kick out installed. If you don't have it, I'm just assuming without seeing what you're talking about. Chuck, if you got a picture of it, go over to our Facebook page. Like I said earlier, I don't go onto Facebook much, but I will reply to people on Facebook because you can send a message to the roofing page there. And if you want to send a picture, I'd be glad to check it out. I think I had a brain fart. I was referring to Chuck. Did I say Rick? If I did, I apologize. If you had an option to install Malarkey or ICO, my opinion, Malarkey. Some other people might say otherwise. But again, I don't care what you install. It's only as good as the installer. You can have the best shingle and a crappiest installer, and you're gonna have problems. Yeah, I'm not a fan of ice and water. It sucks to work with, but I do think it is really needed based on the climate you live in. I see a ton of leaks. Oh, just going into the winter and more so coming out of winter in my area. And when the call comes in and the temperatures you're aware what to look for. It's typically after you've had precipitation, it's been cold and froze, and you've had a little warm weather move in. Those 99% of the time, those leaks are ice dam. And it can be avoided if you have ice and water and it's installed right and it's not wicking back up under. And then the other time you have those ice dam calls, I'd say a good portion of those are because they didn't use the right material. It's too low and they're using shingles and it's all just backing up under. Did I just see somebody say SoCal is charging $1,000 a square? Damn, that's up there. I apologize, I can't follow the chat so much when I'm trying to focus on the charts and trying to answer questions. So I don't not been reading all these. I apologize. It's in the middle of the slope portion of the roof. Is it near your wall though, Chuck? If it's near the wall, it's probably a wall issue with flashing. If it's not, and you don't have any obvious damage, I would look, if you have attic access, go up there next time you see a leak. Is it dripping off a nail? Is it dripping off of in between two pieces of decking? Just have an idea of the area. Then you can inspect your shingles. When I see those kind of leaks, typically those are due to nail placements being wrong and bad. And you said it was 10 years. Did you say it was 10 years old? Let me scroll up. Yeah, typically it's around that time when those nails start getting loose around the shingle. You know, when you got an asphalt shingle and you blast a nail through it, it does typically make a good seal, but it's not going to be a permanent seal. And after 8 to 15 years is usually when I see those leaks, they get loose and start wallering out, and that's when the water drips in. Well, why is the water getting onto that nail? It's because they put them near a keyway within that region. It also depends on the slope or what pitch. I think did you say what pitch your roof was? Let me read through these again here real quick. Yeah, go ahead and send them to me. Depending on when you get it to me, I will be pretty busy tomorrow on the road. But I will, if you get them to me, I'll respond back to you. Hang on, I'm missing stuff here. Somebody writes for us referring to Jeremy with the base sheet and cap. Yeah, be aware, like JF Liberty with one base sheet, they only I think it's a 12-year warranty, but if you do a second, they bump it up to like 13, I think it is. I'm not for sure, but make sure you get that lined up if you're doing it on a hot day before you peel that backing too. GAF, I've had issues with their coloring and haven't totally pursued fully to file the claim, but I've had the reps to say, don't, you got the 50-year limited lifetime best blah blah pledge. Yeah, I think it's a joke. When they're encouraging you to push it out, tells me that's a red flag right there. How do you fix gutter on your 2-story house? If you've never done anything like that before, you really gotta question, is it worth what it would cost to pay somebody to do it yourself? Because if you've not done it before and you're fiddling around and you fall and get hurt, it'll make you rethink and wish you would have paid the money to have it done. And I really can't say because I don't know like how much, how big, what the length is. I did 40-foot sections at my house myself. Granted, it was only 8 feet up, but I just took a rope and looped it around one side, carried the 40-foot section in, set this up on a 6-foot ladder, ran down here, pulled it up higher, and just kind of repeated the process to get it up. So it can be done, but it's a pain. 2-story up, I wouldn't want to mess with it. If it were me, I'd pay a gutter company to come do it. How do you fake experience and get your roofing license? Well, at first I thought you were gonna say how to fake experience and get a job, but to fake and get a license, I don't know. I don't know what your license requirements are. To get a license in Indianapolis, I just had to sit through a 3-hour orientation. There's no test. But as far as I wouldn't recommend faking it, the whole motto of fake it till you make it. You know, if you're new to roofing, just get experience, don't necessarily fake it. Did I do roofing as a youngster? I started when I was like 16, 18 years old or something. I don't remember exactly. Kind of helping a contractor in my area. He was a really good mentor of mine. He's since passed away. And then in 2003, I started full time. If it's right where it meets the wall chuck, it's more than likely going to be a step flash or a flashing issue. Has it leaked ever since it was put on 10 years ago? If so, probably what you want to look for if you can see the flashing, the step flashing. A common thing I see is when your installers are being really lazy, it's usually the crackheads. When they're flat barring, they poke it with a flat bar and they don't replace it and they don't put new flashing in. It just takes a little slit from a flat bar. The other mistake I've seen people do is that moth again. When they're in a hurry and they're step flashing up, they've got a piece that's too high or something. Or another thing you can look for in your step flashing, if the wall, looking at the camera here, goes up like this and you're putting your step flashing on the wall here like that, you know, um, here's your piece of flashing. Don't nail on the bottom edge down here. Because what happens is water's coming down that wall. Over time, it'll rust those nails out. I tried to make sure that guys on the crew, when you put your step flashing in, are nailing up near the, push it in, make it snug, and then double shoot the top outer edge. It'll keep it from twisting, but you don't have any penetrations down in that high traffic water area. So I would definitely look at nail placement and flashing in your situation there. Now, if it's coming in the middle of your roof facet, so if you got like a 20-foot wall and it's coming in the 10-foot range, don't think it's just right there. It could be anywhere from there or above. Thanks, Rance, for answering the questions there for Wilson. What is cutting the book about? Typically, it's the stagger pattern or the pattern you're building your lead. I feel weird in the way the camera makes me look looking at it. You've got to offset shingles. I would never do a zipper racking it in. I believe manufacturers won't even honor a warranty on that, and it looks terrible. So you're going to want to offset every shingle and cut them. Geez, like 15 years ago, I started pre-cutting, mainly because we started having price increases on material. It was getting expensive, but more importantly, on top of that, you can take a row of shingles and you cut it, take another shingle, set it up there on the about the factory edges up, move over 5-6 inches and cut that. You can typically get 5 cuts and then a full factory shingle. And the benefit is you have no waste and it's speedier because you're just cutting. You got your knife in your hand, you cut 4, 5, 6 shingles, and you stack them, and then offset the sealer strips slightly when you're staging it if it's a hot day, otherwise they're gonna stick together. Then you'll throw your offset starter down, a full shingle, and then your cut shingle, and then your next cut smaller shingle, and so on until you get to your last little tab about 5-6 inches. Then you run your next course up, and then another full shingle, and repeat the process with the other half of the shingles you cut. It's a little quicker, and you have no waste and less cut. And there's nothing worse than reaching over a gable in to cut it, and you got a little trim nail sticking out, and it will slice your knuckles open really bad. Or worse, catch a nail and snap your nail back. I hate that. You had a neighbor that's had a tarp on the roof for 2 years? Wow. Typically, the tarps only lasts 4 to 6 months, depending upon the wind, and they're usually shredded. Do I speed valleys or cut? Or if are you referring to speed, are you talking about California Valley? I like the California Valley. Some people don't. Pros and cons. I think the pros outweigh the cons. Cut valley. If you do a closed cut valley, make sure. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. I need a whiteboard. I think a whiteboard would be a lot easier because they get a lot of comments on that too. What I mean about dog earing the cut valley. So first off, a closed cut valley is when you run one side across your lower lying side, and then there's other factors on what has more rain runoff. Then you'll run your other side across, watching your nail placement patterns and everything. You'll chalk a line, typically slightly out of the valley on the high, and as you go lower, further out of the valley. And the reason is it gives you more of a channel for the water to run, and you'll cut that carefully. Do not cut underneath. That's a closed cut valley. When you do those shingles, see if I can do it like this. Um, they'll have a valley cut like this, so this top horizontal part of the shingle right here, water catches that point, surface tension will run over, and eventually rusting out nails and leak. I've seen leaks because of that. Like 10, 15 years ago, manufacturers said if you do a close cut valley, you need to nip this off right here at an angle. So there's your point, and this is your valley cut, if that makes sense. They're gonna cut a 45 at the top. So any water hitting this will run down due to surface tension and then back out the valley. Sounds confusing. I need to do a video on it because that's a pretty common question I get in some of the videos. Um, California Valley, why I like it, because when you run your underlying side across, you crack the line and you put your shingle down, it gives you a pretty good line running down that shingle all the way down the valley to 45-degree angle. It also gives you an area to run your shingles over to and gives you a good set gauge, typically around that 6 to 8 inch mark, where you're not, like even the newest guy on the crew is not going to accidentally shoot too far out. So that's why I like those. One of the downsides is just strictly a cosmetic when you're doing a California Valley. When you're looking up the valley, you'll see a slight raised look to it, and that line continues all the way up the valley. That's one of the cosmetic downsides. But again, I think the benefits of functionality of a California Valley work better than a close cut valley. In my opinion, the best valley would be an open cut valley where you put W metal inside the valley. So you're going to prep your roof, get everything ready to go. You're going to put your W valley in the metal, in the valley, and W valley because it looks like a W. It's got two big ends that go out and they bend up in the middle. So it's rigid, nice. You'll shoot that off. We typically lay ice and water over the tops of that, 3 inches out of the center of the valley. Then you crack your line, you run your shingles and cut them there. And that gives a nice solid channel. People typically don't want to pay for that in our area. The last open cut valley with W metal was like a year or two ago. Thanks again for that, Greg. I really do appreciate it. This live stream got questions, Ask a Roofer. It's the first one I've ever done that's had this kind of engagement, and first time I've ever got tips. So thank you, appreciate it. Let me scroll through here real quick, see if I may have possibly missed. I mean, again, I'm sure I missed a few, so I apologize, guys. Rancer us, where are you watching from, buddy? Callie? No, somebody else. How do you get my email? If you want to email me, you can, if you have a message, you can send it to me on my Facebook page, Grand Roofing Inc. If you want to email me on the YouTube page, the Grand Roofing Inc. YouTube page, on the far right tab, About, it will list the statistics and things, whatever on the channel, like how many views. There will also be 2 emails. I have one for sponsor, people wanting to look for sponsors, which is a joke. I need to delete that. It's all a bunch of stupid spammy stuff. But then there's a second email if you have questions or anything, thoughts, ideas. Actually, let me just bring a window up here and I can put it on screen for you. So let me see if I can see my screen here. Okay, so up here, let me shrink my video down. So if you go to the Grand Roofing page up here, if you go to the About tab, it looks weird for you guys. I apologize because actually, yeah, I've got multiple screens set up, so I apologize what I just did there. You didn't even see. So on here, you got the home page. If you click on the About, you come down here a little bit. You'll see like the Twitter, Facebook page, Grand Roofing, business sponsor inquiries. And then here, Grand Roofing Inc. Kokomo at gmail.com. I will say I don't check these on a regular occasion because there's so much crap email that comes to them. There was a spurt where it was like 3 months I didn't even check it, but I'm going to try to get better and look at them at least once a month. Hey, take it easy, Eric. I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Get a bite to eat. If you're still on here, Eric, don't forget, send me a message on Facebook and I'll get you my number. Uh, that boy TD, what about cutting the same dog ear when it comes to step flashing? Step flashing is not necessarily needed because if you look at where a piece of step flashing is and you've got your, again, this is really weird. I need like pieces to show you. Um, so you got your shingle, you got a step flash, shingle, step flash. Any shingle that is covering a piece of step flash, the water that you risk getting into an area where you would need to dog ear that, it's not really existent because the flashing underneath it is up high enough. You're not going to have water catch that top headlap and run laterally, so you don't need to worry about it. I did do a video just the other day. I think I shot it on Monday or Wednesday. Let me bring it up here real quick. And I talk about that very specific thing when it is relating to a wall flashing when it's a solid coil stock. Let me pull it up here real quick for you. So if you go to the page here, bring up the video tab, it was right here, DIY roof project tips. If you go in there and you skip through, let me mute this here.
All right, so this video.
Let's see, I'll just kind of skip through. And I'm looking right here at the wall. I answer that exact question you're asking right here. So if you go to that video and skip to about the 6 minute, 6.25 minute area, I talk about that dog earring when it comes to a solid piece of coil metal up a wall. So check that video out. It'd probably give you a better visual and answer that question for you. So we don't really put any exclusions in for like the ventilation if a homeowner were to cover it or if a ventilation issue were not right. I mean, typically, installation warranty issue, if we get a call back from a leak or something, it's not going to really have anything to do with the soffit, whether it's there or not. Typically, if you're going to have a warranty issue as an installer side of things, it's because one of your guys missed something. It's because they did something wrong. They put a nail in the wrong spot, missed a piece of flashing. True story. Two or 3 years ago, I was embarrassed as hell, but we took care of it right away. We did an old carriage house in Sheridan, Indiana. Uh, Quite a bit of work. We had some framing, rafter stuff to do, new decking, running up it, had parapet walls on 3 sides, coil stock flashing, caps and everything. And the first rain after, got a call back, and I go out there, I'm trying to find it. Oh, 2/3 the way up this 45-foot wall, somebody missed one piece of step flashing or was like up just a little too far. I'm like, oh my God, I mean, things happen. We're all human. But in my opinion, a good contractor is going to take care of it. And absolutely no charge. I was super apologetic. We'll take care of it. So things do happen. So I guess again to answer your question, I got sidetracked there. If there's a problem and it's something we did, we're going to take care of it, but it's not usually pertaining to an insulation issue or a ventilation issue. You want to make sure it's vented, yes. It's more so if you have a warranty claim for the manufacturer, say they're buckling, curling, cracking, thermal expansion and contraction, too aggressive of a bonded, and they're splitting. I just saw that yesterday on a job in Atlanta, Indiana. Those are when the manufacturer is going to want documentation, date of installation, home ownership documentation, squarage, things like that. They're going to want pictures of all areas. What's the claim for? You know, they're going to want to make sure you got ventilation. So that would be an issue if it came to that point. What's my thoughts on Certainty Landmark? It's a good shingle. I like it. It's got a good feel to it. It's not got a lot of clingers on it. The granules, what I'm referring to. You take a brand new bundle, you throw it over your shoulder, carry it up, and you open it up. The amount of granules that come off of that are way less than others. It's like they're throwing in weight for a fill when it's really not adding to the weight of the shingle. So to answer, the other good thing I like about Certainty, that's actually the shingle that I used on the mock-up board that I built. I really had no time to finish doing anything with it, but that was CertainTeed. I do like they have a typical. They're known for having a really dark, dominant double blue line or a triple blue line for your nail zone. So as an installer, that gives them a good visual of where to nail. So it's a good shingle. I'm not really super pushy with one specific brand. There's a few that I would stay away from. If you have a contractor, it's like, oh, I'll do anything. I'd be concerned. If you have a contract that's like, nope, only this one, I'd be a little cautious. Why too? There's a few brands I'll use. And like copper, nobody even uses copper here in my area. Well, I can't say like down in Westfield Carmel, you see some, but it's usually the nicer neighborhoods. Owens Corning Sure Nail, the little bandage looking cloth one. Yeah, we've done a lot of that here recently. The one we just wrapped up on was. The only thing I don't like about that is when you're cutting the gable ends, it just doesn't want to cut very well, especially with a hook. Here's a tip too, if you guys are some of the newer guys, maybe you already know this. I always carry two utility knives on my belt as an installer. One's always with a straight blade, the other was with a hook. Depending upon what kind of cutting, if I'm cutting around a pipe boot or some, hook blade from the top on the granule side. So if I'm ever cutting anything on the granule side, the hook blade. If you're ever cutting anything on the bottom back side of a shingle, the smooth asphalt, it's a straight blade. That's typically only a straight cut when I'm doing my rake. It's just a little score and a snap and you're good to go. Another tip, repair work, um, cutting a tab out, whether it's 3-tab or dimensional, when you need to cut a tab out, use your hook from the top so you don't cut the shingle underneath or so you don't cut you. Get your hook started, take your flat bar and wedge it under, just under it. You can push down and let that hook ride the flat bar. It's a pretty nice little trick I came up with. And putting a certainty down. I forgot who said that. Moray Black. Did my neighbor's one road over with Moray Black. Actually, you know what? Let me see something. Well, I better be careful because it'll show names and addresses. Let me look up here real quick. Maybe I can just find a picture. Maybe I need to do a bogus entry in my software so I can cover Job Nimbus. Job Nimbus is pretty awesome. And it's not the only good one out there. I'm sure there's others. Just one I've been using for 5 years. I'm trying to think of this guy's name. What road? My eyes will be away from the comments here for a second. I gotta find something real quick. Just curious on what I can show, what I can't show, what pops up. Okay. What day are they doing it this week? And are you in California too, Longford, or where are you at? Okay, I got the address here. Try to see if I can get a photo of the Certainteed Landmark Pro we did. Got plenty of photos before, but it doesn't appear that I did much after. Let me see some. I think I can download this. Ooh, yeah, I might be able to do this. There we go. This is a Certainteed Landmark we did a couple years ago. Actually, I could probably actually do a hell of a video on this, talking about the bottom having this exposed, because somebody commented whether it's completely exposed or on the headlap of this side. Some people don't like the fact that it's a straight. Sometimes we'll do a stair step in the mortar joints. But anyway, that's the Moray black right there. Let's see what the date was on that. July 31st of 2019, so it's been 3 years ago. Man, it's been 3 years ago already. Damn. You know, I talking about soffit ventilation, I had somebody call me about some soffit stuff they wanted redone. And I go out to look at it, and they had paid somebody to do vinyl soffit ventilation, vented vinyl soffit. So I go out there and I'm doing a quick inspection of this. I'm like, man, who did you have do this? They know shit. They took vented vinyl soffit and just simply nailed it up against a solid wood sheeting. I'm like, dude, they ripped you off. They didn't do anything but slap up vented soffit, but it's not doing anything because it's not vented under. It's like mind blowing what people got away with. So I ripped it all down, ripped all the wood sheeting out, made sure it was got baffles tucked up under it, then put vented soffit in. Yeah, it's a good shingle. I think you'll like it. Be a hot week for it. I think the forecast. What is the forecast? It's supposed to be pretty warm. Chance of rain or something. Kokomo forecast. Tomorrow 89, 88, 90, 90, 83, 84, 86. So 80s, couple 90s. High humidity. Walk outside for a few hours and you're just dripping in sweat. What oh, you guys you're emailing each other back and forth, I imagine, right? Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna jump over on another screen here and check those email addresses just in case anyone sent anything. I haven't checked it in a few days. Yeah. Let me jump on another computer over here and do it. It's not on this computer. Probably wind down here and wrap up in a few. I gotta get up at like 6. Been cutting my sleep too short lately. Do I do any steel roofs? Yeah, actually, I've done some big steel roofs. I've done a lot in my time. I mean, I'm no like pro at it, but I've done a lot of it. Um, just did a steel quote today. Hidden fastener. I've done a few standing seams. Yes, it's been a while. People typically don't want to pay for that here. As far as the granulated, no, I've never done any, but they look pretty badass. Trying to think, is that the Decra? Or no, Decra is the no, Da Vinci's the plastic. Decra is the metal, if I'm thinking right, the metal granulated. Maybe I'm saying the wrong brand, I don't know. Security alert. No, nothing came in on this one. No. Okay, I'm gonna check the other one. Talking about doing the Liberty on that. Yeah, 212 pitch is definitely going to be better than a no pitch. You want something to run water off. You don't want it extremely flat. I mean, even with roll roofing like Liberty, you want some pitch, in my opinion. The only time I'd say have something completely flat is based on your drain plan. You got pans to dump drains, water to drain out. And if so, I'd recommend like EPDM, reinforced EPDM or TPO. Had somebody that had shingles on a 112 pitch, had ice dam leaking insurance, and I cut my cost to actually put the right stuff down. This person's like, no, they're only paying for what's up. I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to put that back up because I don't want to call back, and they're not going to cover this if you don't put a roof that's suitable for the flat. So we did GF Liberty roll roofing flat on there, redeck the bad decking, fix some rafters or yeah, rafters that were bad, and then put the base sheet down, put the top cap on. Super simple to do, but you want some slope for it to run off. And don't forget to use the primer on your metal too. Give it a few more minutes. You guys got any more questions? Hey, whoever's on here, if you could, just give me a quick shout, yes or no, if you like the Q&A. If you got questions, I'll try to do more live content like this. There's just nothing worse than doing a live video and nothing going on, nobody watching. But if anyone can get benefit, that's why I'm trying to really do this. I have gotten so much benefit on YouTube for free, learning various things. I've been on YouTube since day one, not as a creator, but just consuming content. Love the Q&A, appreciate it. Oh, wow, thank you. I appreciate that. That really means a lot. I really do appreciate it. I didn't come on here to try to get tips or anything. I just wanted to come out here and share. I try to track the metrics of the channel. Kokomo sucks. Oh my God, that's great. Hey, I appreciate it. As just give me another minute where I was going with that real quick rants. Uh, I can do one roof a day and help one family out, or I can do one video a day and help thousands. I mean, my channel has really, the YouTube algorithm has really liked it. It's just started spiking this last week or so, a couple of the videos, and it tracks the metrics on like up to typically 28-day period. So in the last 28 days, the channel has gained 300,000 views. So every day I add a video, that video can help many people for years to come. So that's why I'm really doing it. There's famous people years past. You help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. I'm really doing this to help you guys. If you got questions, let me know. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And if I can't, typically I just ask and somebody else can answer it. So really do appreciate you guys. Appreciate y'all. And I really appreciate the generous tips. Thank you. There's more I want to get into, but I don't want to change the channel too much. But if you're all familiar with like Stephen Graham or Andre Jake, channel successful, magic and finance, and he's kind of mixed the two. I've done a little bit in my day, debt free, stack of cash, investments. If you guys want to know a little bit about what I do or just if I can share and help, I want to kind of go that route just a little bit, but not too much. I'm afraid that it's going to piss people off and they're going to start leaving the channel, and that's not my intent. Appreciate it. Thank you. I think the common ones that I can do that don't take a ton of prep time, because there's nothing worse than shooting footage and then having to edit it and render it and upload it. My Wi-Fi here, not my Wi-Fi, my uplink with the internet's really not good. I can't get Starlink yet, but it's so easy to do a roof inspection. I see something, I see we can learn from it. Somebody might have a similar issue. I do a quick 5, 10, 15-minute video, upload it, super easy, and it can help people. Not always, but most of the time, I try to get consent from the owners. No names, no addresses, just a learning. Like the lady we did just the other day, referenced the wall flashing. I asked them, I said, look, they said they did it, friends and family. It's not going to bash you. That's not the intent here. It's if somebody else is considering a DIY project, can they learn from this? So that kind of content, the leak inspection, worst roof ever. Unfortunately, our worst roof ever is a good search term. People search it. That's what helped got the channel here known. But I do it for you guys. That's, I guess, what I was trying to get at. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Maybe I need to try to pick like a set day and a time range where I can do this and go live and answer questions. Try to maybe focus one geared towards the next generation of people, how to get going, at least how I got going. I don't have salesmen. I'm the salesman. I'm the estimator. I'm the inspector, and I do it all. I have a business partner that's behind the scenes. He does just a little bit of bookkeeping. We're co-owners in another company. He runs the real estate. I run the roofing. And then we have some other stuff. We have patents in a product company, uh, other assets and things. So there's a little conglomerate of stuff we have going on. That's big-headed. Somebody up there comments something I didn't see. Let me run through here. Look, I've even been trying to help you guys out more than trading. Honestly, it's not a good day to trade. I think we're gonna have a red day tomorrow. When others are fearful, be greedy. When others are greedy, be fearful. Every Sunday night. Sunday nights probably aren't the best. I try to really do my best for weekend family day. Well, I can't say Sunday night. I'm pretty much game to do this any night of the week after 8:30, 9:30ish, because that's when my little girl goes to bed. My wife usually falls asleep shortly after. So 9, 10 o'clock for an hour or two, I'd be up for that on a pick a day. Let me know with whoever the 15 of you are in here still what time, because I'm Eastern time zone. So right now it's midnight. So 9 p.m. Eastern. Some of you West Coast people are across the pond. I don't know how well that would work for you guys. I've seen some really piss poor work in areas that require inspections. The thing is the inspections encourage the fly-by-nighters to just do it on a weekend or after hours. Just because an area requires inspections doesn't mean it's almost like a criminal. A criminal's not going to be like, oh, I'm not allowed to carry a gun. They're going to carry a gun. They're a criminal. Guys that don't want to piss with inspections or fly-by-nighters, they're not going to go get an inspection. They're not going to file for a permit. They're just going to do their crap. That's why it's kind of up to the homeowners to do a little bit of digging and due diligence. And that ties back into when I see people on Facebook say, who do you recommend? Who's the best price? That's kind of a red flag and indicator to me of a customer that just isn't going to put the work into finding a good contractor. Then they're going to start being like, this is my 12th estimate. What's the bottom dollar? Do you give discounts? All these things are like, okay, I don't even want to mess with this person. I know it sounds terrible, but I've kind of learned my lesson over the years. Take it easy, rants are us. Night, I appreciate it and appreciate the generous tips there. Thank you guys. Probably a good time for me to wind down too. Where are we at here? Oh, hour and 51 minutes. It's probably my longest yet. Oh, guys, I appreciate it. I really do need to get going. My ear issue, if I don't get enough sleep, my diet's bad, I start getting really dizzy. It's been a tough thing to live with Meniere's losing my hearing in my left ear and balance issues. Who, city people, city officials? Chet? Yeah, there's a few areas we've worked where they require permits, and if you're playing ball with them and you're making a good effort, I've built up relationship with them where they don't necessarily even have to come out. Um, like for example, there's a particular day one of these cities doesn't do inspections. I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean to do? This is the only weather, good day for weather. It's like, can I just document what you're looking for? And they're like, oh yeah, take good photos, email them over. Easy peasy, no big deal. It's yeah, we had an inspector, a county inspector years back. He's like, I'm putting a stop order on this. Stop, get off the roof. And I'm like, dude, we're not getting off the roof. If this is about a permit, and at the time I worked for a guy, he's like, stop order, get off the roof. I'm like, no, I mean, do you see that cloud? There's a thunderstorm coming. We're not getting down. I'm not getting the crew off the roof. We're doing our job. If it's a permit you want, I'll let my boss know and he'll go get the permit. It's not a big deal. Quit being an ass. So, yeah, it's people like that I don't like. Where's Malarkey from? I believe they're out in Portland, Oregon. Uh, maybe you're in Washington. I don't know. And I heard they sold out recently, and they're building another factory somewhere in the Midwest. It was an Irish family that owned it. It got so hard to get any of this stuff, I quit using it a year ago, doing all the supply chain issue stuff. A lot of the shingle manufacturers, the asphalt shingle manufacturers, I can't say with 100% certainty, but a lot of them, they get their ceramic granules from the same mine, same factories. It more so comes to like their factory and the temperatures they're blending their things with when it comes to oxidized asphalt. They're all fairly similar. It's more of their quality control. It's almost like if you've ever cooked caramel or made caramel, when you're heating sugar to a certain temperature range, and you can make that caramel or the brittle, harder stuff. It's all got to be a sweet spot of temperature. And that's how they actually make the oxidized asphalt. They've got to heat it in such a way with the lack of oxygen. Is it the lack of oxygen? Or no, I think they add the oxygen, the oxidized asphalt. If you were to make a shingle with asphalt without oxidizing it first, it would just melt right off the roof. So that's part of the processing and the temperature when they're making it so that it can withstand the temperatures. If you've never gone to a shingle manufacturer, it's kind of cool to see how it works, how it's made. One of the coolest is where when they're loading their fiberglass mat and you've got the monkey, it's this series of rollers. And as the asphalt mat runs out, they're it's completely stopped and they're bringing the new one in and attaching it and bonding it together. Well, how do you do that without stopping the whole line down? It's pretty cool. When they get a new roll going, they've got these whole series of rollers that are expanding and pulling it in a faster linear foot than the outgo of the plant is running at. So like 700 feet per minute. When they're loading a new roll, they're expanding that, gaining the length into the system much faster. and it builds up linear footage that's not being consumed that quick. So when that roll runs out, they can pull the next one in, and what it's doing is it's actually pulling the length out of it. It's pretty cool process. Uh, Malarkey or Owens Corning? There's some people that commented in here. They would say Owens Corning over Malarkey. I would say Malarkey over Owens Corning, and that's in my area. That's just my thought, but they're both a good shingle. I don't speak English. No English. No English. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a pet peeve, but one of the comments I get, I used to reply every time and be like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. When people are like, oh, a bunch of spics on that job, bunch of Mexicans. No, hey, you know, I'm a minority. I've got enough Spanish blood in me. Um, but the best workers I've worked with are the Spanish guys. They've got a dream and they know why they're here. They're working for their family for a better life. Some of the worst workers, it's not a specific race. I've seen bad in all, white, black, brown, doesn't matter, and I've seen good in all. So the people that are fast to comment about that, it just kind of irritates me. They have no idea what they're talking about. All right, getting ready to get off here in about 3 minutes or so. If anyone's got any more questions, let me know. I need to get my dogs put up, get to bed. I've never heard it like that before. That's pretty good. I'll take a look right now, real quick. I won't read it here unless you want me to, but if you want me to, you'd probably type it right here. Oh, geez, I had 2 missed calls. Huh. Okay. Well, not answering a call at 11 p.m. Sorry. Facebook. I don't use Facebook enough. I don't even know where it is on my phone. Give me a second. I gotta switch over to the ripping page here. Who was that? Uh, no, that was July 16th. Sorry. Apparently, I had a message in here I didn't see and hadn't replied to. You already send it, or are you going to send it? Let me read that back. Where is that? I sent a message. I don't see any new messages. Did it have the G logo? A basic shingle brand I like. Owen Corning, Malarkey, and Certainty are 3 good ones I like. Middle of the road. Uh, are you in a super high wind area? Like out in the country or in a city limits somewhere? You in a next to a cornfield, or you out in the country, or like tucked away in some woods? Those are some things you want to find out too, because they're going to have a little bit of different performance. If you're in a high wind area, I'd definitely say sure nail duration. I know it sucks because yeah, there's a Malarkey rep that I really like, good friends with, and he probably doesn't want to hear me say that. But as far as the nail penetrating down into good solid decking, right in the nail strip, installed with the right temperatures, and it's stuck down, it's going to stick. When you sent that to the Facebook page, did you make sure it had the Grand Roofing Inc. logo, the little G with the lines in it? Because I think there's other Grand Roofings on Facebook, and I don't see a message yet. Oh, here we go. It came in, although it's not letting me see it. I have to look into this. I see it here. It came in, but I can't see the whole message. I'm not sure why, but I will, Dante, look into this and why it's not showing up in my message thread. But if I go into my notifications, I can see it there. Actually, there's a couple of notifications in there. A couple of you guys like the page, appreciate it. You're in the city, no high winds. Uh, Before you make that decision, check with your insurance company if you're the homeowner. Well, obviously, if you're buying the roof, you're probably the homeowner. Ask them if you can get a discount on your premium with the UL 2218 Class 3 or Class 4 rated shingle. That might be a little bit of a deciding factor there, too. If you wanted a class rated shingle from OC, you're going to need to get their storm shingle, and that's going to drive up the cost quite a bit. The Malarkey, their entire line is a polymer modified shingle, and their Vista carries a class 3, their Legacy's class 4. And I've had people get a pretty good discount that covers the cost difference and it pays the cost difference within like 2 years. Yeah, actually, was that you, Diaz? Talking of, no, it was somebody else. I don't recognize your name. Was talking about possibly doing a video on flashing, step flashing in the future. So 5x7 L flashing, it'd be of an 8x8. The 5x7s or the 5x5s, I think it was 5x7. Yeah, it used to be mill finish. It was good back in the day, but when everybody started switching over to a metric shingle, a 5 is not big enough. So make sure you get larger step flashing if you're using a metric shingle. So an 8x8 is probably what you're going to want to look at. Because a 5, by the time you put your shingle and you got the buildup of whatever brand you're using, roughly 5 and 5/8 or so, 5.5 inches, somewhere in that range, and use a 5-inch step flash, you're not going to get enough overlap to safely make sure you're not going to have any leaking from rain blowing back up under. I've had the channel for a few years, so there's probably a chance I've done those videos. I don't know. I don't remember. I know I've done plenty of videos on leaks and finding the leaks in those areas and just talking about it, but like repair video installs, I haven't done a lot of those. You'd have to go back and check or search on the channel. I'm sorry, apologize. Time is it? I'm surprised my brother's not in the house. He's probably just got off work. He's up in Alaska on a commercial fishing boat, charter boat. Usually I don't get to talk to him until I'm about ready to go to bed. I give him a call. Sometimes he chimes in. Yeah, ridge vent, yes. Definitely ridge vent is the way I like to vent things. The only other thing that I used to be I hated power fans, but depending upon the situation, what you got, how your house is, if you've got like say a hip house, you don't have a big enough ridge, then obviously you're gonna have to do another ventilation. And sometimes box vents you can't get enough. You're gonna have to stack a bunch of box vents. In a case like that, I would use a power fan. Um, I can't really give you advice on where you are as far as the install on the electrical side of things, but it's only 3 wires. But the install power fan, man, that thing could suck out some serious cubic foot of air. I was actually just talking to my wife about installing a power fan in my garage. Oh, yeah, look at this gnarly drop. Bitcoin and alts have been on a tear since July 13th. This is the CPI number that came out. It was a 5 minute $1,000 drop in the candle, and it's been a nice rebound since. I thought we're going to bounce off of this right here. If you zoom out on the weekly chart, you'll see, or the daily chart, you'll see what's going on with that. You can see I track this stuff quite a bit. We fell out of this little channel, dropped down, bounced back up. And there's this little line coming down here. We could run back up to the 27,000 range. So back on the hour. See what we got going on. I don't like getting into a trade at night because it can do crazy things by the time you wake up. Looking at the MACD on the hour, I'm sorry, the RSI on the hour, it's going to chop around a little bit, but still trending down because we've had this massive tear here over the past week. So I'm going to hold out, probably do some short scalp trades in the next few days. What's holding me back from installing a power fan in the garage? When I get home, I don't want to do anything else. I want to take it easy. Like, typically, if I'm not live on here, I'm on my work computer right there. It's one I always have in the truck. It's what I work off of. I'm usually doing estimates, remote estimates at night. I don't want to be on a hot roof. It's almost like people that detassel corn, they hate eating corn. They don't want to look at corn when they get done tasseling. It's the last thing they want to do. But it would help my garage. I got plenty of Soffit vents, plenty of ridge vent. I did it all myself. I did all the roofing and stuff here. A friend of mine framed it, so I know it's good. It gets hot. I blew in quite a bit of blown fiberglass. I got a furnace in my garage. It's all insulated, but in the summer it still gets hot. Just radiant heat. Appreciate it, Dante. Thank you. Thank you. It really means a lot. Just doing videos and talking to a camera. I don't know until people say that they got benefit out of it. So it really does. It means a lot. Thank you. You guys don't need to tip. I mean, I really do appreciate it. There is the crypto channel that I watch, um, the Coffee and Crypto Show, Jeb McAfee. Been watching him for a while. I'm not going to share this for a pat on the back, but just let you guys know I know what you're talking about. I've got so much benefit from them and their knowledge that I actually pay them monthly. And somebody in the group on their Discord channel was battling cancer and stuff, and somebody put out on the private Discord, a little donation. Man, I just sent crypto over real quick, didn't even have to think twice. So I really do appreciate it. I know what it's like to be on the other end when there's people out there that have done things that I could learn from. There's so much information out there you can get for free. You just got to use some common sense with it. So I do really appreciate it. Thank you. A few years ago when I was trying to see stuff on the roofing, it's the world's fastest. Roofer Olympics. I mean, the stuff I'd see, I was blown away on. I was like, man, there's got to be some better roofing content. There's really not a lot out there. That's why I started it. Do we call it when it gets too hot? Yes and no. It kind of depends. If we don't call it a day when it's a hot day, typically we know it's going to be a hot day, so we'll plan our work accordingly. If I know the forecast is going to be 100 degrees, you need to see 110, we're not going to schedule a big steep job. We're going to try to schedule the smaller, easier ones, things we can get in and out on pretty quick. Keep in mind, the steeper they are, the hotter it is, it's super easy to scuff, and it's bad quality of work when you're scuffing the roof up. Some guys will be like, "Oh, it's a black roof. Nobody's gonna know." Well, I'm gonna know, and the asphalt's gonna be exposed, and it's not gonna last. That's another thing. I was gonna talk about La Sopladora using a blower on a roof. A lot of guys do that. Be extremely careful with the gasoline in those. They drip out, they trickle out, and gasoline is petroleum product will eat a petroleum product up. And if they don't fix it, it's going to degrade really quick. I actually want to do a GoPro time lapse video with a shingle, dump a little bit of gas from a blower because it does happen. It happens a lot. I see it all the time. Just drips out of the gas can when this blower's sitting down up there, or they're filling a gas up on the roof and it drips out. Within 5 minutes to an hour, you can rub that shingle and the granules just come off of it. It's just a mess. I've got all these ideas, I just don't have time to do it. So if it's to finish the second part of that question, if it's hot, do we call it? If we're on a job that it's hot and we can't call it a day, we'll typically cool off, go to lunch, sit under a shade tree, shoot the shit, drink some water, and then when it cools off, finish up. And that's typically when we know there's a storm coming. But again, it goes back to prepping and planning. We aren't going to plan a multi-day job or a big job, a steep job when there's high hot temperatures like that. When there's a storm coming the next day, because if you don't finish, you're going to be in an issue. Um, the epdm on a mobile home, don't put directly on decking, but ever install video. Yeah, you don't want to put EPDM directly down on the decking, but just to clarify, if you're seeing it, if it's OSB, you don't want to do that, and I'll explain why in a minute. If you're seeing them put it right down, like gluing it with the adhesive down to a decking of some sort, if it's a dark color or a charcoaly mocha look, that's probably an ISO board or blackboard. That's what you need. The reason you don't want to put EPDM down directly on a decking substrate is because the fasteners they put down on that, like nails, decking nails, staples, anything of that such, will puncture through your rubber membrane over time. So definitely don't want to do that. Um, Once it's decked, your cheapest route is going to be blackboard, then going up into the ISO board. I'm sure there's probably other materials out there, but those are the two most common. iSpring, if it's a living space, a heated space, using insulation board. It's a little better R value. It's a little more pricey. But that will go down with buttons and plates. It'll be a little, what we use is little 3-inch round buttons, and it's got little ribs to it. You put your screw in, you screw it down, and it pulls the screw just below those ribbed areas. So as the rubber goes over, it's not going to be in contact with that sharp spot. And there is a top and bottom side to your plates. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit on the EPDM going down on the decking, not the decking on a substrate made for it, like blackboard or ISO board. What roof nailer do I recommend? Hitachi, Hitachi, Hitachi. And that's probably just because I was a big Hitachi fan growing up. That's what my first employer started us out on. I liked it. It's now Matoba. Thank you. Um, it's the best gun. I've got like 15 of them, no shit, in my garage right now. They're all broken down over the years. Actually, they're in my attic now. I have two in my truck at all times, but I don't use them on a regular basis. I don't install every day now. Um, that's kind of a biased opinion. Give you a little bit of the features why I like it versus others I don't like the Super Max. It's just kind of a knockoff version. Uh, I just don't like the recoil feel of it and the boss stitch yellow guns. they have a weird little like P factor. If you're a pilot, you know I'm talking about a P factor. It has a little twisting feel to it. I just am not a fan of that. What I do like about that is there's a magnet in there. So that last nail that forwards in from the feeder piston in a Hitachi or Matova just drops out on the roof. No big deal. You throw it off the roof, pick it up, throw it in your pouch, whatever. The yellow Bostitch, is it the Bostitch? I think it's Bostitch, the yellow ones. They got a little magnet in there, so that last nail that feeds forward, it stays there and gets shot down. That's a one I like. But yeah, if you're newer to pneumatics, definitely make sure you adjust your gauge, not to the gauge of gauging your shingles, but the depth of your gauge in conjunction with the pressure you're running. You don't want your piston to blast them through too deep. They fracture, blow through the mat. It's not going to be good. Not going to hold up, and then you don't want them underdriven. So those are the two controls you have: your pressure, your PSI pressure, and your depth. Did I miss on there? Let me look here real quick. I'm pushing late, 12:30. I'm over my time. Frank, what were you? That'd be a cool video. Which one? What was I talking about? Maybe I need a YouTube video board ideas. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the feedback. In New Jersey, he knows he's 110, but yeah, it was 103 here this morning. I did a quick inspection of a rubber roof leaking around a chimney. I uploaded it. I need to talk to the owner that bought the home and get his consent, but I want to hopefully publish that here soon. I think I might do the metal roof tomorrow. It was a horrible install. I've got a few uploaded. Oh, excuse me. Transporter, appreciate it. Thank you. What tools do I use on a daily basis? Aside of my pouch and my knife and my tape measures, well, my tape measures is probably the most because I do estimates all the time. I would have to say my AJC Mag Hatchet is the most used tool that I carry on me for repair work and all kinds of stuff. My most used tools would be the tape measures, my telescoping ladder, and my ladder with the standoff. Those are my most used tools that are with me on the truck on any given basis because I mainly do estimates, inspections. Yeah, what's holding me back from adding the fan? Yeah. It could probably from start to finish, depending upon the time of the day I do it too. That's another thing. If it's been hot and cooled off at night, they're going to be bonded really good and they're going to pull and get mat transfer. If I wait till it's warmer mid-morning or something, they'll probably split apart a little bit easier. A little technique of getting it started under a double laminate buildup and then working the flat bar downward at an angle so you don't actually slice the headlamp underneath. Uh, it's a little hotter, but honestly, just grab a beer, sit down, and play a game with the little girl. It's more important to me. She's grown up way too quick. Oh, the recording the gasoline. Yeah, sorry, I already forgot that. Maybe I need to write that down. There's another one. I got a infrared thermometer that I wanted to scan on the roofs, and just these hot days, I've been so busy, either running support, picking up material, or doing estimates and inspections in between the guys doing the roofs. I haven't had time to go up there and even do that video. Have I made any money on my trading tonight? No, I haven't even done a trade today. Earlier today, I was going to do a few trades and I was real close to it, but then I get a phone call or my little girl asked for me because I work from home pretty much all day today. So it's a little more important. It's better to be out of a trade wishing I was in than in a trade wishing I was out. I did have a bad trade last week, though. I was playing the volatility of the CPI release, and it was a nice run up. And I'm trying to get out, get my little girl to the sitter. And as soon as the CPI numbers came out at 8:30, it was just $1,000 drop. and I was worried that if we were so close to that next downward leg of hitting the lower teen range of Bitcoin, so I ended up taking a loss and exiting that trade. And then I got busy Monday starting to do more YouTube content. It's just been on a tear since. So no big deal. I've made plenty of money in Bitcoin crypto. I made over a six figure in not Bitcoin, in Cardano last year. What is the best type of roof? A roof that doesn't leak. Bob Ross riffing on TikTok. Wait, isn't Bob Ross the painter guy? Is white roof coating the best coating to reflect heat? Actually, there's a YouTuber I watch. I don't follow him. I'm not even like subscribed to him, but he actually was talking. He's a science like smart, mathy, engineering kind of guy. Um, God, I have to think what that was. It's in my search history. But he was talking about a paint that reflects infrared. Not only does it reflect infrared, it actually cools more heat than how do I describe this? I'll have to try to find it and link it in this video later in the description. It can absorb heat that is touching it and reflect it faster than it absorbs and reflects it faster, basically. Yeah, so where they put this special paint, it would absorb the heat around it and radiate it away. Some special kind of paint. It's pretty cool. So white naturally, yes, is going to reflect more heat as say opposed to a dark black. So if referring to a paint and washing something, like say a metal roof and using a Carnac or Gacko white tint on your final is going to be the best. It'll still be hot to the touch, but it will radiate, not retain so much. Does that make sense? But I'm just a roofer. Appreciate it. Mansard roofs, I can't stand mansard roofs. They need to not have shingles on them. And if you do, you need to make sure you nail the common bond. If you don't nail the common bond on a mansard face, it's going to fall apart. Yeah, she's growing up quickly. I feel like a blink mind. I feel like it was just yesterday I was holding her, feeding her a bottle. She's 4. Oh, you're saying yours was? Yeah, my little girl's 4 right now. Frank, you talking about, was that you that commented the Bob Ross TikTok? Let me scroll up where that was. Yeah, that was you. Bob Ross on TikTok. I don't get on TikTok too much. I don't think I even have an account on TikTok. They got it figured out. Short video clips, but then you watch a ton of them all night. Uh, Justine, thank you. Appreciate it. There's actually, I'm a big audiobook guy. Of course, my bad ear issue. That's why in a lot of my videos, you'll see these on me flipped up like this because I'm protecting my ears, but when I'm doing a video, it's up. But I listen to audiobooks. And there's a book I'm listening to right now, I'm about to finish, called Embrace the Suck. It's a Navy SEAL, and there's a part in there I had just learned about today of Chief Tecumseh, and what you're saying right there, paying it forward. That's I appreciate that. If you want to learn something real quick, take just a minute and Google Chief Tecumseh, and it's a very short little poem. It'll hit home. Actually, here, let me just bring it up real quick here. Let me find it here. It's very short and it's very good. Tell you what, I'll just find it real quick and I'll put it up on the screen if anyone here wants to read it. Very, very short, very good. Googling it right now and I'll get it for you. Copy image. All right, can you guys see that on the screen right there? Is it not zoomed in enough, or? I mean, the bottom of this just gets me every time, right down here. Anyway, I just literally heard about this during my audiobook today while I was out mowing, and I had to rewind it a few times to comprehend and took a little snippet of it. When I got done mowing, I came in and Googled this and read about it. I was like, damn. You know, the part where it's talking about when it comes time to die, be not like those hearts who are filled with the fear of death. So when their time comes, they weep and pray to have a little more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Wow. Sorry, I just had a thought come through. I'm about to start to cry here. I lost my mom to cancer and it just struck a little nerve here. Well, guys, on that note, I appreciate it. Yeah, I wish I had some more time to get back with my mom. Appreciate it. All right, sorry. I'm seeing my little girl grow up way too quick. I just want to spend time with her, but I got to continue to grow the business and investments and everything. But that quote right there, I don't want to be on my deathbed wishing I lived my life different. So that's what I want to always do what I can to share others or help others. You know, I've had mentors over my life that have helped teach me how to fly when I was a teenager, that taught me construction at a young age. There was a day back in the day, my old mentor, Terry, I couldn't even look at somebody while talking to him. And he's like, Brian, just look at my nose. Look at the booger hanging out my nose. There's a secret. You're looking at my nose, you're not looking at my eye, but it looks like I'm looking at your eyes. So, yeah. How long can ice and water stay on the roof without shingles? Depends on the weather conditions, but it doesn't have a granulated top to it, so it's got more of the asphalt showing. So every day the sun's beating down on it, it's degrading that. I wouldn't worry about leaving it exposed to weather for a few days, few weeks if need be, but you know, if you got wind, it's going to start tearing and tugging. So if you're questioning like can it be out exposed for a couple days while you're working on your roof project, absolutely not a problem. If it wind whips it, tears it, just replace it. Replace that piece. Hey, I appreciate that, Frank. It really means a lot. You know, growing up as a kid, I used to look at my time in my life as every summer I get time off from school and I get to have fun with my friends, and that's how I kind of, looking back, looked at my time. And then now it's like days are just slipping by real quick, and I don't want to have regrets. of I should have done this or should have done that. Luckily, my parents took me around to see a lot of the country when I was little, and I have really good memories. But after it's gone, you never get it back. It sucks. How would I fix a pipe boot on a mobile home? I can't just give you one answer without seeing the mobile home. Do you have asphalt shingles? Is it rubber? Is it metal? My mom was battling cancer and they gave her 2 to 5 years, so we had a little time to prepare. But it's the first truly close person in my life I lost, and you just never know. You know, if you know me, I'm not a big written word kind of guy. And my brother, one of my older brothers, I'm one of nine. He told the family, he's like, "Hey, this might be our last get together with mom." He's like, "So write a letter." I wrote like an 8-page letter, just all the memories I had on the vacations we took. Old metal roof. What's the slope of your roof? Most mobile homes I've seen, it's not a straight slope. There is a kind of a rolling metal roof, so it's probably like a sweat metal roof. Without really seeing, it's hard to say, but if it's what I'm envisioning, I would carefully remove the boot that you have, put a new boot down, and secure it with a flat panhead screw so it's fairly smooth going around the perimeter of it. And then use a cleaner, make sure it's cleaned, primed, and prepped. Make sure you got a few hours with no weather moving in, and then use a Gacko or Karnak flashing. Put that around the perimeter bigger, and then use a cotton, it's a polyester cloth, dope it, coat it, and that should get you going. I think I've done a video on that. If not, I've got it archived and need to get that out. But if that's, yeah, it's rolling, so it's a smooth, like sweat joints, that's probably going to be your best bet. You can buy it. Here, let me just Google it real quick for you, or Amazon. You can get it typically like a 1 gallon and a 2 gallon pail. So just a 1 gallon would be plenty for what you're needing. Let me pull this down here. So it's this stuff here, the Gacko patch, and then Karnak is another brand that has them. And it's super simple. When you get it, make sure you mix it. If it's been setting for a while, you're gonna need to get the oily residue that you're gonna see settle on the top mixed down. It's gonna be a little hard. You're gonna have to just stir it around and mix it in. And once you get a nice consistency of like a cake batter with like hairs in it, that's what you want to smear onto your surface, over your boot, onto the roof substrate, and then put your cloth in it. I think I've got videos on that stuff. Dancing Alone, W Rentals. Christmas comes 5 times a year when you're a roofer. It was funny, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm thinking of several different things. I've seen people put metal down that are severely damaged and not replaced. If you've got a very soft, gentle scratch, like say you're moving a panel and it gently scratches it, the manufacturers make the exact paint match in a little vial, either a little spray duster or it's like a nail polish applicator, and you can coat those. And those are perfect match. They're going to work. If you think you've scratched it down just below the, through the paint and the primer and all that, because there's like multiple layers to those steel coatings. If it's in a high traffic area, crucial area, probably just go ahead and replace it or leave it up there if you're the owner of it and just know like, hey, I can always unscrew a panel and remove it pretty easy. Hey, I appreciate that, Frank. Have a good one, Frank. If you've got no decking in the area and your panhead's not pulling in, that's going to be a bit of a problem. If you have an attic area, you could always go into your attic area in between rafters or whatever structure's holding that up there and put a nailer in and simply toe nail it to there as high up as you can get it, and then use a long enough panhead screw to catch the wood. And if not, you can still, I mean, if it comes down to it, you can put that down, make sure it's pushed down snug because the rubber boot's going to grip your pipe okay. And by the time you flash everything and it cures, it will hold down. You just don't want it moving coming off the roof deck before it's cured. So if you've got good structural strength to put a panhead screw in, then do it. If not, it's going to hold up pretty good. Have a good one, Frank. Well, I mean, since this went so well, I had a lot of content and hopefully it gave out good answers. What is today? Today is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Um, if maybe I'll put a little post out, and if I get some people comment on the post, I might try Friday. Definitely, I'll try to do at least one live question and answer Q&A of some sort of week, maybe. Thank you, Keith. Leonardo, what's expensive? Was that you was talking about with the Gecko patch? I mean, it's one of the options you have on repairing it. It's worth it. Oh, I see what you're saying. The different times of the year. It's like a kid has Christmas once a year. We have all these different occasions. That's what you're referring to. I've had people request me to do an inspection after they've had a roof done. I've done a few down in Zionsville, Westfield area, and wasn't really a lot that I could complain about. There's some really minor things. If you're pretty competent or confident in your research and you've done in the company or the contractor, then not a huge deal. I mean, it depends. If I was in your area, I'd love to come do a free inspection just to see. I've also thought about trying to do free roof inspections just to get more content for the channel. Where I really recommend people paying somebody to do a roof or do an inspection is more so when it's a real estate transaction. Typically, you got two parties and they each have their own best interests. Seller wants a lot of money, the buyer wants to pay the least amount. And when a home inspector does something, if there's anything questionable, a home inspector just knows a little bit of a broad area. That's where I see the most things missed. Have a good one, Frank. And thanks again. I appreciate it. Wherever you're watching from, check your box stores are not going to have the Gacko or Karnak, but if you look for a roofing supply house near you, I don't know where you live, um, ABC Supply Co., Richard's Building Supply, Reese Wholesale, North Coast, Beacon. I mean, there's just a few that I know of. You can search those places and they'll have it. Amazon will ship it to you. It's definitely worth it. It's a good product for the right circumstances. And that's the first thing that comes to mind in your situation there. It's super easy to do. Which shingle manufacturer do I mostly install? I've done a lot of Owen Corning lately and did a lot of Malarkey last year. And thanks to the content, you know what starter shingle is. Well, that's pretty bad, especially if they did upside down shingles to, so if this is the shingle, did they flip it upside down or did they rotate it upside down? Because there's a big bad no-no if you do it the wrong way. If you take the shingle starter, if you take a shingle as starter, when they're stacked in the package, a cellophane strip is supposed to stick to the back side of the shingle, and it keeps the one with the seal strip from sticking in the package. If they take the shingle with the cellophane and flip it down, upside down as the starter, that's bad because when they put the shingle on it, it's never going to stick. I've done a few video installs on that. Uh, Inspections showing that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if they're a reputable company and it is an issue one of the guys did, they should come back and fix it at no cost. How hot is it too hot to install shingles? It's not so much too hot that the shingles can't be installed. It's more of an issue of being too hot that the installers, one, their quality goes down because it's just too hot, they don't want to be there. And two, if it's a little pitchy, they're going to scuff the shingles and do damage. The installer's damaging the shingles working on it, not so much is it too hot for them to be installed. So hopefully that answers your question. Polycarbonate. Um, I can't remember if that's exactly what it was, but depends. I think it's good. I did a barn repair a month or two ago where their ridge was leaking, and it's because they had old fiberglass panels to let light in. And there's maybe it was polycarbonate. I can't remember. It was a clear ridge cap that's that material. Installed it so they got really good light coming through, but it's dry. No trouble with it. I thought about honestly doing something like that for my patio out back, my deck area, about putting a couple pillars and then offsetting steel panels or clear poly panels. That way, if it rains, it can run off and keep us dry, but still get plenty of airflow. It's been an idea I've had, just haven't had time to do it. Any particular manufacturers for that polycarbonate? I cannot remember what it is, but depending upon where you live, actually, hold on just a minute. I can probably get you a picture of what that was that I used. This will be the last research one I do here. Can't remember the customer's name, but I know the area. Let me look up their address really quick here. Then I'll search their address or name. And I'm pretty sure I took a picture of the product I used. I wanted to say it was Sun something or another. All right, here we go. I'm coming in on Google Maps on it. All right, I found the house here. 500 West. 500 West. Found it. Bingo. Okay, here we go. Let me, it was first part of May. All right, sun sky. Save image. Ooh. Ooh. Wow, it's really small. I don't know why it's so blurred like that, but Sun Sky was the brand of that polycarbonate stuff that I used. PalramAmericas.com. PalramAmericas.com. Looks like I have a toll-free number and it if you want to check that out. Can't slide the screen down because it's got all the personal information of the customer, and I'm not going to put that on the screen here. But I hope that helps. Sun Sky. So the starter shingle they put down, they had that starter shingle seal strip down, which would be the granule side up. Then if they used the shingle first row, it should stick to the granules, provided they had a good offset and they put their nails in the right spot. It should be okay. Should have been okay, but the other downside we'll say to that is kind of a cosmetic if it's a low slope. If your shingle starter is the same height as your shingle, you're going to build it up an extra 1/4 inch, so your second course will have a little bit of a dip. Not a big deal if you're on anything over a 412, but if you're like 412, 312, it gets to be an issue of possible putting a hump in it. I'm sorry, it's I know it so much in my head, it's probably hard to understand what I'm trying to describe, what to watch out for, but if they came back to take care of it, then that's good. Oh, so they came back and flipped it to the tar down. If they came back to do all that, they should have just put starter back in. No, I've never written estimates through Xactimate. That's one of the things I want to try to do this year is to try to study up on that a little bit because that's what all the insurance companies do. I just have a job Nimbus and I've got a cookie cutter template, but if I don't actually measure them physically, I have a combination of how I do my estimates and how I measure them. One is with Roof Sketch software I pay for, really good software. I've got a video on that. If you search Roof Sketch, you'll see my video probably pop up. And then Google Maps. I did a video on Google Maps, how anyone, homeowner, can do it for free, provided you have a good image, just using a measurement tool on Google Maps. So Xactimate is in the books to eventually learn. Spray foam. I don't have a lot of experience on spray foam in an attic, but what I can tell you is I have seen some roofs that were redone after spray foam was applied to the roof deck, and the few that I have seen, the roof decking was completely rotted out. I don't know if that could be a factor. Is the foam a closed cell foam or not? I don't know. I've not had good experience ripping roofs off that have had spray foam on the underneath decking side. At one point, I had seen a really good video by Owen Corning they put out on insulation in your attic space. If you do a search for that, it was like an hour plus lecture video on that specific subject. Are you talking about foam sheets as insulation or spray? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. If it were me, I would definitely do some research before picking one. I don't have a lot of experience in that area, but I can tell you when we have done like church buildings and things that have a thick core foam on top of the roof, that's definitely been a better way when it comes to so let me rephrase, it's not so much for shingles, unless they do one of two things. You've got your structural beams, then they have tongue and groove decorative inside, and then they'll have a foam core and then decking on top of that. Um, Insulating spray foam directly underneath, I've not seen a good outcome. It's usually rotted out the decking. Yeah, so that might be a big factor on if it's closed cell or not. But either way, I want good airflow on underneath decking side of my stuff. So typically drywall here in my area, nice, good blown, thick amount of fiberglass insulation, a good open area, good inlet, good exhaust. The worst injury I have had at work. Ooh, I've been really lucky. In my 19 years, I've only had to go to one hospital as a Med Express once at my first roofing employer. And get this, I was cutting a gable edge. Nope, didn't get a nail, rip off a fingernail, anything like that. What it was a windy day, and the granules coming off the shingles from cutting it blew in my eye. And I tried to wash it, it got bad, it scratched my eye. So I had to go to Med Express and they actually put a little contact, well, they put a dye in my eye, they saw a scratch, they saw granules, so they had to flush it. Aside of that, I've fallen off the roof, controlled, I was slipping and actually jumped to break my fall. Never had to go to the hospital. So I've personally been very lucky. I've seen a lot of crazy injuries in my day. I've seen people fall off roofs uncontrolled, get knocked out. I've seen guys slip and move and shoot their hand. I've seen them shoot their leg. I've seen a guy so stoned out of his mind he slit his wrist open on a piece of edge metal, bleeding everywhere, and fell asleep. I've seen crazy stuff. You got to be careful. I will say, hopefully nobody hears with the OSHA, but I've seen more injuries on the job when we're forced to wear harnesses. I'm not saying and negating the fact that harnesses can save lives. I'm not saying that at all, so please don't think that. But when you're all tethered up and you're trying to work and you're tripping on each other's lines, it's a mess. All right, we're at 103. Wow, I'm an hour over where I wanted to be. Oh, we're almost on 3 hours, guys. I appreciate it. If you could give it a thumbs up, it really does help support the channel. That one? Yeah, I got that a couple years ago. Um, 4 or 5 years ago. I haven't got one since because I haven't hunted too much. My wife was like 8 months, nine, six, I don't remember. 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant. She came down in the woods to help me get it out. Got it in my backyard, down in the woods. If you guys want to see where I got that, if you go back in the live stream section on the channel, earlier this year or last fall, my little girl, she was 3 at the time, we went down there and did a really short live video from the shack. So you can see where we got the deer. And then also there's another one, what's a roofer do after hours or something like that. Pretty funny. I went out hunting and don't want to give it away, but it's pretty funny. Am I working tomorrow? Yes, I'm going to hit the road early tomorrow. I've got to switch out stuff on the truck, do a return. Uh, got to do some accounting, invoicing, pay bills. Got an estimate inspection to do down in Noblesville. Hopefully meet up with another roofer down in the area for lunch. And then some more remote estimates. Probably wrap up my day and head home for dinner. Yeah, I need to get off here before it's 2 in the morning. I appreciate it. Music V8090 now. That's a unique name. I got a question for you. You have a channel? Is that username tie into your channel, or what's that? Why do you have that kind of channel name? And also, given you got the headset. Thank you, JW. JW. I'm sure that's initials for a lot of people out there, but are you an old friend of mine here in the Kokomo area? Music Variety 8090 now. Is that your channel? I have to check it out. Wow, 80s and 90s. Got some good old tunes back in those years. Let's just take a fun little poll here. I got 15 people viewing. I don't know how much you know about me from following the channel, but let's just take a quick guess at how old you all think I am. Oh, from Toronto, sorry. There was a friend of mine, Josh. Won't say his last name, but just thought maybe it was him. 38, not a bad guess. 29. Wow, 39. 39. 39 years old. I've been roofing for 19 years. I had a baby face for the longest time. You know, everybody I was with, they're like, "Oh, yeah, who's your high school friend?" Late 20s. Thank you. Now, after I had my little girl, I started sprouting gray hairs, stressing out. Yeah, lordy, lordy, look who's 40 is coming around the corner real quick. What's the secret to looking young? Just cutting out stress out of your life. Oh, OBS. Where's OBS? Okay. Yeah, I'm still up there. Couldn't tell what was on the screen. Oh, I don't have that much silver yet. How's the video audio coming in? YouTube just warned me my bandwidth dropped really bad. Yeah, the lighting's not the greatest in here. I do have quite a few grays coming in these areas here, but I'm gonna rock it. Audio, video good? Cool. So if you guys are newer to the channel, this is my day trading area, my estimates. So I've got my laptop and then I've got some screens above off to the sides. So I'm looking at multiple things. But this one up over here just said, oh, bandwidth warning. I live west of Kokomo in the county and I don't have very many options for high-speed internet here. It's one of the reasons why I really hated doing the uploads. It really sucked to have high gigabyte content of raw footage and then editing it and then trying to upload it. Just I would hit upload a standard size video and it would take 20 to 40 hours to upload. So I started doing those overnight, and then I was like, well, my family in town's got fiber optics, so I just try to plan and go on there and upload the video. The same video size file would upload in like 5 minutes. Oh, let's see. I think we're gonna be bouncing back down, rejecting off this little EMA ribbon moving here. I expect in the morning it's gonna be down. I think I'm getting like a 2 megabyte a second upload, which is decent enough to do this, but it's by no means fast. Hey, wow, I got two people with audio, music stuff in here. Being audio, thank you. So JW, a question. A lot of the roofing questions I get only provide quotes. A lot of the roofing quotes you get only provide 4 feet underlayment around the roof edge. Is this good practice? You always want ice and water on your bottom edges. Now the question is how far? A good rule of thumb, at least one pass. But to truly answer that the way it needs to be answered, it depends on your overhang, your soffit overhang. If you have like say a very small overhang over your exterior wall, like just a few inches, in your fascia board, typically like 36, 38-inch roll of ice and water is going to get you 2 to 3 feet past your frost wall or your exterior wall. That's kind of the rule of thumb. You want to be a good 2 feet, 3 feet past that. So Zach of all trades, veteran roofing, he's actually only a couple hours north of me, and he's got a really good practice. If you see in his videos, he's really good at running 2 passes or more. So if you got a bigger soffit overhang, you want to run a little bit more, but common practice at least one. If you're wanting more, if you've got an overhang in an area that could have an issue, then just ask him like, hey, can I get another couple passes? I had a quote that came in south of here just the other day. He wanted 15 feet of ice and water over certain sections of his house. Oh, sorry, yes, I didn't even catch that. Ben, yes, typically the underlayment can be just a loose word for some vapor moisture barrier underneath, but typically they're referring to the paper. So a synthetic paper, 15-pound felt, 30-pound felt, ice and water is what you're really wanting around your bottom edge. And yes, and the valleys, obviously. Now, the right way would be, according to my right way, your apron, then ice and water on your bottoms. Make sure you're up as far as you need. Then your valley dumps out on top of that. I see a lot of guys, they'll put the valley down and then put their paper going up, but you risk the area where the valley coming down and then your bottom pass comes over that. It can get up under those corners there. So you want to cross your valleys. If you have a valley, your bottom eaves, ice and water, and then your valley come down on top of that over and cut a web into your gutter. All right, it is 1:14 a.m. I'm gonna wrap it up here at 1:15. People, I appreciate it. I want to keep going. I really do. I'm getting tired. I need like 4 to 5 hours of sleep to get. You all have a good one. Everybody that donated there, I appreciate it. You guys don't need to, but it really does mean a lot. Thank you guys. I'll try to see if I can do a live stream in the evening once a week here that can help people. It's been so long since I've done one on the computer here. I don't even remember where my off button is. There we go, end stream. Y'all have a good evening, good day, morning, wherever you're watching from. I appreciate it. Hope you're all doing well. Till next time, be safe, and we'll see you then.